Just let me know. Just. It's okay.
Obviously, he's here, so. Fitting too. Morning, on. Do we have volume?
Hello.
Hello.
How's the weather up there?
Cold.
We were on that Gulf Coast crawl and left early to make it out of the snow. They had like 9.5 inches at their last stop.
I saw that.
Die.
Yeah, actually, we're having a heat wave. We're up to 21 today, so we like it.
I'm at -2.
Oh, okay,
But we don't
Chris.
have any snow, so
Jeez.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Jenny. Kendall, Fred.
Yes, good morning.
Others coming on. Good morning, Mr. Holly.
Kendall Felder, it was so nice to see you in Florida.
Yes, it was surprising to see you down my neck of the woods.
Well, thanks for that wonderful, just a quick, brief few moments, but it was great. Thanks.
It was wonderful.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And good morning, all from the frozen north.
Good morning.
It's 21 degrees here in west central Indiana.
That's what we have.
Yeah.
It's a heat wave, right? Compared to the last couple days.
Well, 2 hours ago, it was 24 degrees.
Uh-oh. Wrong way.
Oh, gee, it's a very cold 40 here.
It looks like we're heading to John's place because he's got the best weather.
This weather's crazy. It's insane. Snowing in New Orleans?
Yeah,
And
it's
Florida?
crazy.
Oh my God.
So
Oh.
if I could just jump in here for all of our board members, please make sure that you have your name properly on your Zoom so we can promote you. It looks like we have a couple board members sitting in the attendees that I need you to change your name. So we can move you.
Any particular name you'd like us to use?
Oh, one that we recognize so we can
There you
move you.
go.
Tracy, I keep getting pictures and information all about the Galveston Mardi Gras. It's going to be so exciting. I will be there next year. Sorry, I've got conflicts this year, can't do it, but it looks like it's going to be great fun again for everybody.
Well, we're planning a wonderful time, and this year we have a commercial hospitality tent. So it won't be our redneck version, it'll be our real hospitality tent.
Hey,
I
Tracy,
don't know. The redneck version was awfully good.
hey, Tracy, you guys have one of my Airstream idols attending this year, Darlene Leslie and her daughter. So,
Oh, yes.
oh my goodness, Big Red number 29, I think.
I know.
Yeah,
I was wondering how they had such a low number.
Darlene and her late husband led caravans for Airstream.
Okay. Well,
So
they're excited about coming.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
delighted to have them.
yeah, they're camped somewhere near there, and they had some snow, but yeah, you'll enjoy both of them.
Good, good, good.
For all the region presidents on here, this is John Deegan. You will be receiving an email from me in the next couple of days inviting you all to join us in Indianapolis in May for a racing good time rally. We're going back to Indianapolis as an organization for the first time since 2005, and we're going to be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Grand Prix race in mid-May. So be on the lookout for an email from me.
That's only for region presidents, John, not for the EC?
No, I'll copy everybody on here. Thank you.
Good morning,
Did I hear that you were on the golf crawl?
Mona?
Yes, I was.
Did
We
you run
were.
into Liz and Charlie Kirk?
Yeah. Did you see where they are now? They were frozen inside their trailer.
Yeah,
They couldn't get out the door.
And well, I know they're used to being up here in the north.
Yeah. No, we live in Mission, Texas, so it was quite a drive from New Orleans, but we were heading into all of that crappy weather, so we got out of there, made it from New Orleans to south of Houston, and then home the next day. So, and it's been cold down here too. So
Yeah, they should be used to it.
oh yeah.
I know while they missed how cold it was up here in the snow, because we're up by Lake Ontario. So
geez.
we either get Lake Erie snow or Lake Ontario snow. And I want to say it was Monday or Tuesday. I couldn't even see 50 yards from my house. It was coming down so hard.
Yeah, I was super excited to be at that campground in New Orleans and have such close proximity to the city, but we just had to go. And I think Ray and Carol Combs left too. It was fun to see them, spend time with them too.
So,
but they had 9.5 inches of snow. They're projected in Lafayette, Louisiana, which is
wow, that's a first for them, isn't it?
Or is that Arkansas? Is it Arkansas or Louisiana, sweetie?
Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana. Hey, you. Okay.
They actually got like 12.5 inches there.
Good. Yeah.
What does some bitch know? He doesn't know one state from another.
It's me. He knows them all. I don't.
Again, I want to remind any board members that are coming into the call. Again, as the email stated this morning that I sent you, you're coming in as an attendee. We need you to change your name on that, and you can do that. There's normally 3 dots right there by your name, and you need to change it to your real name so we can move you in.
Lori, when I signed in, it just said you are coming in as a panelist. Okay. And I clicked okay. It didn't have the screen that you said was going to come up.
Yeah, some varies on device.
I'm going to check and see if any of you have seen these people. Has anybody seen Alan?
Hang on, Terry. I've got Lori Grassi, you say you're here but don't see myself. Are you listed as an attendee? And if so, can you please change your name? Guys, we do this every time. Change your name on the Zoom tab so we can move you.
Do you have Alan? Lori, do you have Alan Robb?
No,
Do you have Millie?
no, Millie's trying to get in right now.
All right. What about Marcia House?
We have three. So the problem is right now we have three people as an attendee that all say board members, and we don't know who you are. So we need to fix your name so we can move you.
We're still missing quite a few people. Still missing 5. Oh. Alan says, don't see me. Was there a question mark there? I don't see you.
Yeah, if you're an attendee, you're not on camera. That's again why we need you to change your name.
Lawrence, are you still on the coast?
I am in Paso Robles, California.
Nice. It's probably a little warmer down there.
It is 28 this morning.
You're a trooper taking it from the car.
Taking it from the truck.
Maybe at this point, we should just promote all of the names listed as board members in the attendees, and then if they're the wrong people, we could drop them back off again, perhaps.
I can tell you who we're missing and who you could, we're missing Alan and he's trying to get in. Marcia House, Chris Olson and Rick Everson.
I think Chris is in.
Chris is here.
Chris is here. Thank you,
Right
Chris.
here.
What about Rick Everson? Oh, hi, Chris. I see you in the upper right-hand corner of my screen.
I'm trying to hide.
So for those of you that are having difficulties, I would again, instead of trying to use the link, manually log in with the meeting ID and password that I sent you this morning.
So, yeah, Lori, that didn't work for me. I had to go back in through Board Effect, shut down Zoom and restart over, but it wasn't asking me to join. It wasn't giving me the option to join as a panelist.
That's
Until
what you like
We
Teams so
didn't
much
want you to
better.
join as panelists. As
What?
the email said this morning, everybody was an attendee and we're trying to promote you as panelists. That's how we've been doing these meetings for the last several years.
Lori Tango, that worked for me. Doing
Thanks.
what you said.
Okay, let's focus on getting these last 2 people in. So
Yeah.
Lori, I see 2 people listed as board members. Have you invited them
Exactly,
to
Eric.
be?
And we've sent panelist requests. And again,
Okay,
if
we'll
you-
get going
There's,
then.
there's Alan.
if you see the panelist request, you're going to have to accept it so we can move you in.
All right, in the interest of time, we're gonna get going. Lori, if you could just, if to the extent that you can, help people in the back, on the back.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
great.
missing
All
Rick
right.
and Marcia. That's it.
Okay, let's get going now, and let's do a roll call. So first of all, welcome everyone. First up, roll call. Terry, please.
President Eric McHenry,
Present.
Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Finally present.
I'm here. Finance Director Alan Robb.
I'm here.
EC Member John Becker.
Present.
EC Member Jim Cock.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. EC Member Kathy Giese.
Present.
EC Member Marcia Howes. I do not see her. Okay. EC Member Jenny Schnettler.
Here.
EC Member Kendall Felder.
Here.
Past President Mona Watts.
Present.
Region 1 President Michael Junta. Did I say it right?
Yes, thank you.
Good, I'm getting it. Region 2 President Gary Russo.
Here.
Region 3 President Robert Ely.
I'm here.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Present.
Region 5 President John Deegan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
I'm here.
Hi, Jan. Region 7 President Chris Olson.
Here.
Region 8 President Rick Everson. Is he here? Not yet.
We're trying to promote Rick right now.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. Region 9 President Tracy Elkins.
Here.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
Good morning.
Good morning. Region 11 President John Hawley.
Good morning.
Morning, John. Region 12 President Sean Bloom.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. Parliamentarian Lori Grassi. I see you.
I'm
And
here.
Executive Director Lori Tilton.
I'm here.
That's it. Only person we're missing right now is Marcia House.
Okay, we can look at the Zoom recordings later and it'll log her entry timestamp. So, all right, well, welcome everyone. I hope you all are off to a good new year. We have a pretty full agenda, right? I'm going to try to help us move through it at a reasonable pace, but of course, with the focus of making sure that we all understand what's going on, the process. If we have complicated motions and amendments, be patient. We're going to slow it down and go through them smoothly, and I'll do it in a way that ensures everyone has a chance to understand what's going on, what you're voting on, what you're not voting on, etc. So, all right, so there's a couple of things just to bring to your attention. We had a couple of last minute changes to the agenda packet. And as you guys probably know, we freeze the agenda packet, which means we don't change it, 14 days in advance. And that allows all of the board plus members to look at the content in advance. We used to do it, change it at the last minute, and people weren't sure what version they were looking at. So what we've done this time, though, is both on the public-facing side, so our members can see this, and on board effect for the IPT plus region vice presidents, you'll see a series of 4 attachments at the bottom, right? And the 4 attachments are, there is an updated minutes that are actually correcting the minutes that are in the packet. These are the minutes for December 5th, our IBT meeting. And you will see the 3 items related to the special committee called Capstone. One is updated updates or summary and updated 2 motions. So when we get to the capstone related topics, I'll make sure that you all have had a chance to, and we're all aligned to looking at the right documentation. All righty, cool. I think that's about it. All right, so let's go into minutes. Approval of minutes. Terry.
Yes, so what you are seeing are the August minutes, but what we really want are the December minutes, and those are the ones in the attachment. So I'm hoping that you can see that. And I have a change that I need to make. Let's see. I had that printed out. Let me see if I can find it. Lori Grassi sent me this, and now okay, here we go. On August 22nd, 2024, motion 2024-24 was made by Alan Robb, at that time interim treasurer. The minutes reflect that the motion was made, but did not reflect the amendment that was made and accepted by Sean Bloom. Alan accepted the amendment by Sean Bloom. The following one that is now in those minutes, the note that's in those minutes reflect the entire motion as presented, amended, and passed by the IBT. So it's a change that's going to be made to those August minutes, and they will be in board effect. And it's just that we included the amendment by Sean Bloom, which was previously not included. So that's the only change that I have there. Are there any suggestions or changes to the minutes for December? If there are none, we will consider the minutes accepted as written.
Okay, great. Thank you, Terry. And by the way, if you all aren't speaking, mute. I think most of you are, but I think we're doing pretty good on this so far. All right, the next thing, just a brief president's report. Again, you'll see it in the board effect. To some extent, this mirrors what I wrote for the upcoming February 1st printed Blue Beret, where I just touched on a lot of the accomplishments of this team over the last couple of years, and also a little synopsis of some of the direction that we're going in the future. But let me touch on a couple of things. I know our executive director will talk about membership retention, but so I'll leave that to her. But basically, great news. I think all of you, when we passed the dues increase, our concern as a governing body, when we voted for that as a group, was would that reflect poorly in our renewals? And the good news, it didn't. So Lori will talk more about that. And it's our 70th anniversary as our club, right? And so, we're really excited about taking this year of 2025 to celebrate 70 years of WBCCI. You'll start to see a few things rolling out. You've heard of some of them already. Barb Darian, our international membership chair, standing committee chair, will be joining us later this morning to talk about some really exciting initiatives. Because, right, when we think about the anniversary of our club, it's not the anniversary of a bunch of letters. It's the anniversary of the people that preceded us, and got us to where we are. Some of our historians, right? Some of the people that did some of the amazing things. So Barb's going to talk about how we as a club can learn more about the people that form our community. We're also going to be talking a little bit later down about the launch of our historical center, fundraising, and the whole board for that. Region's 6th first Vice President David Gully will be presenting a little bit of that. I'm really excited about that, right? Because one of the things I keep saying again that's so unique about our club is that 70-year continuous history that no one else has. And I think a lot of us really have seen local clubs or units fold, people pass away, and we lose all that information. So as you heard from our last board meeting, the historical committee, thank you, JD, for overseeing that one as her liaison, is working with Joe Poplinsky and everyone, David Gully and others, to start to scan and archive a bit of our history. So you're going to see a bunch of things start to come together in this 70th year. And I hope that a number of you as region presidents are also able to, within your areas, find a way to support the 70th. And again, Lori will talk more about that as well, but some of the stuff that might be available for that. I did want to also just remind the region presidents, I haven't heard back from any of the region presidents on my request to help a member start to form a fly fishing intra club. And my request was that since that needs sponsorship by a region president or an EC member, we need to have someone sponsor that person. So please get back to me to help this member take a look at forming a fly fishing intra club. And I'm asking region presidents to do it versus exec council, because it's really unclear who will be on the exec council, 6 months from now. So I would like to see some continuity. I think that falls best within the region presidents or their named first vice president. So please get back to me ASAP. That member reached out to me again, asking if anyone volunteered to help. The next thing I want to share, some of you may have seen it or may not have seen it. This idea of spearfishing, I think we sometimes call it scamming. It's a big deal for our local clubs, as all of you have probably heard. All of us in our personal lives, in our WBCCI Airstream Club stuff, are getting these random text messages and emails. I wrote an article that's electronic, but is also going to be in the printed Blue Beret also. In fact, I've replied to a couple local clubs last week about, hey, here's some more information about what's going on and what you can do. So I would really encourage you guys to share that with your clubs as appropriate. I know that some of you have already. And a nice packageable way to share it is at our blog, right? Because we have blog.airstreamclub.org, and there's a nice little package article that was posted on social media, I believe, as well. Strategy session for 2025. Millie is going to talk about that in her section, about what we do, where we do it. And I think that's about it for me. Oh, the last thing. So Kathy Giese, thank you again. So Kathy has agreed to take leadership of our next phase with Harvest Host, right? And she's going to talk a little bit about sort of the success, actually quite surprising success actually this year, how many of our members have used courtesy parking, but also we want to take the next step forward. And I've shared with you guys a while ago that we've negotiated with Harvest Host that they're going to work to identify maybe 5 to 10 Harvest Host locations in every state. And those locations will have pre-agreed to host an Airstream Club event, right? And so this will open up a whole new set of events and kind of special areas for your members to camp in, if you wish, be it a winery, a brewery, a whatever, dog farm, or whatever it may happen to be. So Sean Blom in Region 12 has got the first pilot one going. So thank you, Sean. And but Kathy's going to take this up to take to the next phase to start to roll it out and work with you guys to do that. So thanks, Kathy, for agreeing to take that up as well. Okay, that's it for me. But I just have to say thanks, by the way. You guys are a blast to work with, and it's been quite a joy. All right, let's go down to other exec council reports. Since I was talking about Kathy, let's go you first, Kathy, and then Millie, then we'll do the rest of the exec council.
Okay, and just to tag on what Eric was talking about, I know in the region that I'm in, which is Region 10, it's getting harder and harder and harder to find rally locations. There's still a lot of people out there camping. There's no new state parks being built with camping facilities. So we're really excited that this will just give us another little tool in our bag of those of us who plan and execute rallies. So I was, as Eric mentioned, I was pleasantly surprised at how successful we were with the Harvest Host, because we really didn't get it launched until pretty much a lot of you were putting away your rigs for the winter. So I think we're starting to see things ramp up. I know I'm getting more emails. I'm sure I see Lori Tilton nodding. She's getting more emails. Currently, we have 343 active hosts. That's people that went through filling out the form. We had a lot of people who were on our previous courtesy parking program who didn't even realize they had signed up years ago and nobody ever showed up, so they didn't even realize they were. So we have 343 really solid active hosts. And for our audience's benefit, I should have started with this. For everybody that's not familiar with courtesy parking, that's where out of the goodness of their hearts, members say, yeah, you can pull your rig into my driveway. A lot of them have water and electric hookup that they're happy to share, and you can come spend the night as you're transiting between one point and the other. So it was a program. It was the best benefit we had and the most underutilized. So Harvest Host has partnered with us. They build out the platform for us. And so now it's, I think it's a really exciting program, and the numbers reflect that. As of last week, we had 2,697 members who have logged in and registered to participate in this program, which I think is outstanding numbers. 128 users, even though it was fall and winter or late fall and winter, have had a stay request, creating a total of 216 stay requests, which why those two numbers don't match is a lot of our courtesy parking people say, yeah, you can stay more than one night. Harvest Host traditionally has been you stay one night, but with our courtesy parking, it's up between you and the host as to how long you can stay. If you need to stay two nights, you can ask for that. So my personal goal, I'm big on setting goals. I'd like to see us have by the end of this year, 500 active hosts. So that'd be about a 50% increase. So please, as for the region presidents, as you're going around to your rallies, help me promote this about how much fun it is to see Airstreamers from across the country come. You can do as much or as little as you want with them. You know, basically all you have to do is say, here's where you park. There are a lot of people. And I'm looking at John here somewhere on the screen who actually does a happy hour for guests that come to his place. And I may be calling you next week. So
happy hour that lasts a full week, right?
Yeah, there you go. And So I would like to see us really participate as hosts. And I think there are a lot of people that still aren't really sure about what's involved in doing that. So it's a fun project for me to have taken on and to help people that might have a little trouble getting logged in or whatever. So, and HQ is doing a wonderful job. If it's something I can't resolve, a lot of times it's pretty simple IT things, and that's about my bandwidth. It's pretty simple. Then I boot it to HQ, and they've been really good to escalate on to Harvest Host. Hey, Jim, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, quick comment. A great presentation. Thanks for all your work on this great program. One point, you said transiting, but some of us are destination. Well, I'm not a destination, but some of us have parking at destinations. Come and stay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate all of you on here that are hosts.
And thanks, Kathy. Again, I keep saying it again, you all have been great to work with. Kathy's just really done a tremendous amount of work. You have no idea how much work she's put into this, and I've seen just a little bit of it. So thank you so much, and also for continue on. All right, Millie, let's, where are we with the strategy session?
Well, it looks like that first week in November, the November 3rd week, is coming out ahead. I've still got a couple people who haven't responded, but a lot of people are way too busy during the summer travel before and after international, which was my personal pick, but oh well, I'll travel in the winter. The early November does avoid the holiday cluster that airports can have and that roads can have. And it also is early enough in the winter that we could hope we wouldn't have some sort of a catastrophic snowstorm or other thing, although some of you all across the country are dealing with unusual snow and, oh well. That's really about it. It's going to be great as always. We're just putting it all together.
Okay, so any other feedback to all the region presidents? I understand you all have talked about this and you had some concerns about that date. Are you guys all okay with that? And if you want to talk now, go to Millie directly. Michael?
Yeah, how to get that unmute button thing hit. When our last president's meeting, it seemed like it was a fairly high amount of us were really leaning towards a preference of doing this days before the international rally. Why is in York, Pennsylvania, why are we not considering that a little bit more heavily?
Well, we certainly can. My numbers look different, but if you want to, if the region presidents could each commit to shoot me an email regarding that, or just a text message, and I'll do a head count, see what we can do. If it doesn't interfere with headquarters. Lori's hand came flying up there as soon as you said that. Lori?
Well, John Holly was in front of me.
Okay, sorry.
I was just going to add to what Michael said. When we all met, we were thinking we don't want to impact what the planning committee and the strategy committee and the staff are doing for the thing. So we wanted to do it several days out so it wouldn't interfere. But we did discover that all but one president will be attending the York International Rally. So we all would be there, except I believe for Florence. She had a conflict. Maybe it still is in effect. I'm not sure. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lori?
So the way the York Fairgrounds are, it would cost more to have it, number one. And then it would have to be before September 11th, which the rally does not even start until, before August 11th. The rally starts on the 23rd is because we have to lay out all the grids.
Well, we would still be doing it in Jackson Center. Nobody, unless I misunderstood the region presidents, we wouldn't be doing it in York. We'd have to be in Center.
Would. So that would be, we would have to, I'm just saying because I know not everybody's familiar with how things operate. It would probably be a 3-week maybe prior to. So if we want to do it in Jackson Center, it would probably be the week of September 28th would probably be the best week. Again, I know not everybody's familiar with what transpires here. But also the other
That's
If
after.
it just add a lot. Can you get rid of that?
Well, the other thing we have to look at as a total, besides the presidents and the EC, a lot of us are volunteers at York and have to arrive early and hit the ground running and start working. So a week before, we're already there on the ground working. Stepping away for the meeting might be tough, or the meetings, those days. That has to be considered as well.
And also just to advise you guys, August is a model change month for Airstream. So I don't know if we would be able to utilize and work with them that week or in August as well. So.
Okay, Michael.
Yes, Millie. So this was discussed actually. Jackson Center was not the location that we were talking about amongst the presidents. We were discussing actually being in York, not necessarily at the fairgrounds. We understood that there might have been some conflicts with the, parking in time period. It was discussed that we could also meet in that vicinity. Didn't have to be in the York area that we're going to be parking in for the rally, that we could be in the vicinity. We also discussed that there were a lot of volunteers and that we were trying to schedule it where there would be enough time to be able to meet everyone's needs since we're all going to be there.
Okay, I see your point. I think two of the things that people need to consider when we're looking at the dates is it isn't just when can we be there. We do respect and appreciate Airstream's cooperation and participation in our strategy session, and it helps to build on our relationship with them. So when we do it in Jackson Center, we have them there. There are some folks from Airstream who come to the international rallies, but they're not generally the ones who participate in the strategy session itself. So it's kind of a two-prong road here. Are we going to try to change this and then you don't have Airstream involved at all and have it just us, like the old midwinter IBTs of yore? Or do we continue going forward to do the strategy sessions the way we've done 2 years so far with great success, in my opinion? And we may need to just have some more discussions on that. I don't want to run this meeting too long, but I would happily do a Zoom meeting with region presidents if you want to discuss this more, and we can carry it to the EC.
Millie, I would suggest to have the whole board have these discussions, not just the region presidents, because the whole board needs to be involved in it. Again,
okay.
I'm not going to get on my soapbox about this division that's happening, but the whole board needs to discuss this.
I'm not trying to divide at all. I'm also not trying to create more meetings because I know we love these meetings. But I also don't want to see this one go to 7 hours as it has the potential to do.
Okay, let's shift off this. Looks like we're not going to decide it. More people want to contribute to the discussion. So looks like we have more work to do. But thank you, Millie, for taking this on, and we can talk offline on how you want to do the next part, whether to schedule a special meeting or part of an IBT meeting or however you want to do it. So thank you. It's like there is no good time, as Millie knows, for everyone. So it is challenging. So, but we wanted to make sure that you guys knew that. Heard your concerns, and we're stepping back and taking a look at what might work best for all of us. All right, other executive council reports. Nope. Okay, Lori, let's go into executive director report.
Thanks, Eric. My report is posted in the book, but just want to give you a couple updates. Since it was posted on the 5th, we've had some additional calendar year folks renew. So I'm excited to say for the calendar year in 2025, we're at an 85.81% renewal, with giving us an overall 93.98% renewal this year of our membership. So super excited. We need to really give a big shout out to the HQ team. I'm not included in that. Amanda, Amber, Jen, Sherry, and Corey, I estimated they processed about 15,000 transactions in the month of December. Again, I know not everybody's familiar with our ways and the craziness of our madness, but I really think they all need a big kudos for that, and remind everybody we've been holding off on hiring additional people, but it's because we got a great team right now. Yes, Gary.
I just have some feedback from Colleen, who is the Region 2 membership chair. I asked her to run as of December 31st, the number of members that would have signed up or renewed by that date, not going forward, that their membership due date ended at the beginning of December. And her number coming back to me was that we are experiencing a 14% people that were not retented, re-membership. So we've
Well,
got 14% that did not come back.
Gary,
And-
I don't know where, can I take, first of all, everybody's expiration date is 1/1, not 12/31. It's 1/1. And I know Colleen just got an updated report from us today of people. So I don't know where she's getting her numbers from. We'd be happy to go over those numbers with her to make sure, because I don't know where she's coming up with those numbers.
Okay, I just wanted to pass that on. That's the number I got. She sent me 2 days ago.
Okay, well, she got a new report, and again, I mean, I have no reason to lie about this. So, I mean, we'll be happy to work with her on this. Moving on, we had about 63 auto renewals that did not process, so the team is working on those. We also sent out a lapsed member report to all the regions. As we were reviewing those reports, there's some officers and whatnot in there that have not renewed, so hopefully they'll get on the ball and get that done. And again, we'll continue to send out reminders to work on all of our people. Just another couple of highlights. We were just wrapped up the Tampa RV show, which was fabulous. We did a great job. Our team that was down there working with the Airstream Inc. as well as the dealer. I've been approached and asked if I could carry that model on throughout the country at different big RV shows. So excited to do that. I'll be working on getting those things pulled together and coordinating with the appropriate regions and whatnot to work on those types of events for our club. So it was a great thing. Also, you'll see in my report, we have the 2025 printed directory that's already on sale right now. And I want to share with you, Eric had mentioned about the 70th anniversary, which we're all prepared for. And we have been working on this to, even last year, we were working on it to, show everybody how great, I can't get to my screen share, how great the 70th year is going to be. So at International, we're going to be doing a lot of things in related to that. And so here is what we're calling our promo, our 70th year logo. That's going to be embroidered and just some special things here and there. So we're super excited to promote this throughout our year. So we have that happening. As of this morning, we had 897 rigs renew. 897 rigs registered for York. We got over 1,700 adults, 22 kids. And that is all of my current updates right now, Eric. I don't know where you went. There you are.
There's a question first from Kathy Giese.
Oh, yes, Kathy.
Being a numbers wonk, how are we on track for previous international rallies, about the same percentage of spaces available? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And we're in a lull. I'm excited that we finally got our sponsorship and whatnot worked out with Colonial Airstream. So we've got some things coming out. So we'll start pushing more communications. And I have no doubt we'll sell out as well. Great. Anybody have any questions?
Thanks, Laurie. I just want to also just put this new printed directory in context. When we did it last year, we had a fairly expensive large book, and that came out of a recommendation by a special committee, which we sort of, I think, all kind of said, well, I suppose. We've talked to more people over the last year, and it became really clear that a lot of our members, what they really wanted was, I think the initial committee called it a glove box version, right? They wanted something, they're going down the road. They don't need to know how many international rallies a person went to or what their leadership status was or caravans they went on. They just wanted to know, hey, there's big red number 153. Who is that? Where do they live? And how do I contact them? So what's happened, and thank you, Lori, the team, David Gully and others, just started to take a look at this of saying, let's just provide our members this year with something that costs half the cost, that's smaller, that they can use in their tow vehicle. So that's what we're doing this year. And as you probably noticed from Lori's report, the cost is, I think, around $12 or so, $13, something like that. So kudos on that. We will see how it goes. Right. I've said it a lot. We do not get everything right as a board the first time. But if we listen to our members, listen to our thoughts, we can hopefully correct. So we'll see how this one goes. I will say though that perhaps over time, future boards may decide that, like the physical phone books that we used to always get when we were younger, we don't have to do a paper one, but for the next couple of years, probably, I think this may be the direction we're going to go in. So kudos on that, Lori, getting that done in a way that we think will be more useful. All right, let's go into committee reports. Mr. Rabb, the quarterly financial update.
Yes. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. Let me share my screen here and see if we can't get you through. Can you see? What do you see on the screen? Uh-oh.
Yeah, we see the PowerPoint. Yes.
You see this one that says stub financial update?
Yes.
Okay, good. It doesn't highlight it like it does in Teams. All right, so let me go through this for you. Got a few pages to share with you. So again, cautionary note, and I'm going to put a little emphasis on this. I've received a couple emails from people that have looked at some of my past financial reports and tried to anchor me into the numbers that were presented in those reports. Understand that when I put numbers in these reports, many of them are estimates, particularly when we talk about the plan. What you're getting ready to see now is the way we finish the stub period defined as August 1st of 24 through December 31st of 24. So those will be actual numbers. They are not forecasts. But when I do these, generally I talk in estimates. Here's what I want to go through with you. The MD&A that we talked about, our 3 financial statements, the reserve schedule that has now become a regular report out to y'all. And then I've got an update on our mortgage. And then I've put a little page in here that if you did the pre-read, you'll see what the Finance Committee has accomplished for 2024 for the calendar year. Before we get started, I thought I'd clarify a couple things. Again, there's been a lot of emotion on not only social media, but I've received some phone calls and emails on this as well, on the difference between a 501c3 and a 501c7. We are a 501c7, okay? 501c3 are charitable organizations that, in this first bullet, serve the public. 501c7s are organizations that are social clubs that benefit our members. Okay, we are exempt from federal income tax underneath the 501c7 status. The last bullet point, can we make money? Absolutely, we're allowed to make money. So the conversations or the comments that I've received and others of you about can't believe the International Rally made money, we're allowed to make money as a 501c7. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is a cap level of 35% of our gross receipts or our income. That's the maximum we can receive for areas outside of membership. So things like advertising, okay? So we only receive 35%. We're well under that threshold. Can we have a savings account? Yes, absolutely. And this all comes from the IRS site. Y'all can go find all this information on your own if you choose to. They're allowed to have a savings account. It's highly recommended they have a savings account, particularly to be able to provide for a rainy day, disaster, whatever it happens to be. There is no limit to the savings account. If you see the second section here, nonprofits should have at least 3 to 6 months of operating costs in reserve. Our club roughly spends $1 million a year. So that should say that we should have between $300,000 and $600,000, which we don't have right now. Ideally, the IRS says we should have up to 2 years worth of operating expenses, which is $2 million. So as you start thinking about the motion that we approved last summer, I recommended that we hold about $750,000 in 3 different reserves. And so that would hit in about the 3 to 6 month range on the higher end of that, 6 months or so. How should nonprofits use the reserve? There's a lot of different ways they can use it for new programs, activities, crisis. But also they advise that you should use cash instruments, CDs or money markets to produce some income, through bonds and other investment instruments, which we actually do. So a 3-page snapshot on 501c3 versus 7. We are 7, and it's okay that we make money. Okay. Now we don't establish our dues or we don't establish prices for international rally with the intent on making money. That's not the reason we do it. When the headquarters office and many of our volunteers do their job as well as they did in Sedalia, we had some extra money, and we've made good investments with those money. So I'm going to go through that with you in just a second. Okay, so the MD&A. So I've got another deck here that if you like, we can go through to talk about where all the cash is. It's a pretty straightforward thing. Membership renewals, an example of simplicity with a new fiscal calendar year, no more cheat sheets. What that means is when we were in I'll call it an off calendar year as our fiscal year, the headquarters staff had to really keep up with when somebody renewed, how we actually accrued money between our fiscal years and our calendar years. So with going to a calendar year, it has created some efficiency for the headquarters staff. The stub period is a bit hard to understand with no comparisons to prior year. I said this last time I updated y'all. We hit our estimate within about $16,000, and we invested in marketing materials and cleaned up our inventory when we moved into the new building. So we did a lot of really nice things at the end of the year. Fiscal changes underway with the IRS and accountants. I followed up with our accountants again. I don't know, Lori, it was either yesterday or the day before to find out where we are so I can get better direction to the clubs. Excess cash from the stub period went to the reserves and mortgage reduction. We actually accomplished that, and I'll go through that with you. I'll give you an update on the reserve and a new report that I've developed. You'll see every quarter from now on the mortgage. Okay. So let's go through our three financial statements. 100%, as you can see in the top. Thank you, Gary, for pushing me. I'm putting the dates up here. So August 1st to 12/31, 100% of our stub year has been elapsed. You see, I had forecasted we're going to lose $126,000. We lost $142,000. So we hit our estimate pretty close, which was pretty amazing given we actually put this budget together last fall. You can see where we spent a little bit more than we thought in the general club expenses. But again, we invested in marketing materials, the remodel, the $20,000 that y'all approved to be able to purchase furniture. Our bank fees were up $10,000. The bank fees continue to eat us alive. And we cleaned up our inventory, which what that means is the $38,000 is we had some old expired inventory and we wrote that off. So we wrote it off. We threw it in the dumpster and wrote it off. Postage was up, which is generating some of the increase in publications. And then the travel was a little bit higher than we thought because of the installations in the fourth quarter. Okay, depreciation and amortization came in at about $10,000, right where we forecasted. And then if you look down here, the IBT was just shy of 400,000. Again, I repeated over here for you where we went over. I attribute this to a lot of efficiency that was picked up. Pipe and drape, we had more rigs than we thought. Sponsorship, the headquarters staff generated more sponsors than we thought. So we've been through this last quarter. So bottom line, $220,000. The caravan lost $23,000. You saw we lost $8,000 last year. As I discussed with y'all before, this is really a factor of two things. It's predominantly driven by credit card fees, and we're on this with Ray Combs now in terms of righting this ship, but the caravan continues to be a bit of a drain on our P&L. Okay. We paid down the mortgage $30,000. It's the headline here in the balance sheet. There's not a lot of activity here. So if you look at column 3 in the stub period versus our actuals last year, you can see the variances over here. There's not a lot of substantial activity over here other than to say that our mortgage right here came down by $30,000, which is what I did with some of the excess funds. Okay. Cash flow, same story. The big variance here on the stub period versus 23-24 was the booking of the building, the new building. So that was the big variance here. And you see that on our mortgage. We took out a mortgage of just under $500,000. And so those are the two big things that happen on the cash flow statement. Beyond that, not a lot. Okay, so here's our reserve. So the green up here to the right, $42,000 was added to our reserve in Q4 and stub period 2024. So $12,000 as of December. That was largely interest that we accrued in our money market and our CDs. And then I actually deposited $30,000 of our excess cash and split it between the three reserves. So $30,000 of our excess cash went here. Okay. So we're at $245,000. When y'all approved to be able to put reserves in place, we're at $200,000. So we're making progress. And this is to note, this is before any increased income that we will receive as a result of a dues increase. That all starts January 1st. So this is all pre-dues increase. Okay. Page 12, a new report for you. So let me just lay out the report for you. Our beginning balance on our mortgage is $476,000. This is for the period 8/1 through 12/31 in our stub period. I put the term of the mortgage here. It's a 5-year term. Our interest rate's 6.7%, and our monthly payment's $3,300. So those won't change every month. In fiscal year 24, which is August 1st through July 31st of 24, we paid $6,700 in principal. The rest was interest. And in the stub period for these 5-month period of time, we paid $268 in principal. I made an additional $30,000 principal payment with the excess cash at the end of the year. So put $30,000 in reserve, paid $30,000 off the mortgage. We're at $438,000 on our mortgage now. So exactly the strategy that we talked about a year ago in the strategy meeting, which was bolster our reserves and pay down the mortgage. And we have now accomplished that. So I'm very, very excited for that. And that's, again, before we enter this new fiscal year with dues increase, that'll help with that as well. Last page for y'all, Finance Committee year in review. We've added a new member into the Finance Committee named Sally McDonald. Jim Cock has officially got alumni status, so he'll be attending alumni meetings by himself. Big rocks. We've accomplished during the year 34 things in the Finance Committee. I've put the 18 big ones here. I'm not going to read them to you, so you can look and see what those are. We passed 6 motions this year, which is substantial, from a finance standpoint. And we've got 6 big projects. We've got about 18 projects underway, but we got about 6 big projects underway. The biggest one that I think is going to pick up a lot of efficiency that Sally McDonald is now leading is a records retention project. And the idea with this is to move as much as we can to electronic and eliminate as much paper as we can, and then get on an ongoing retention schedule with disposition of paper. So that's it. I can go through anything else you all like. I'll take any questions, but that's my update.
Thanks, Alan. Can you pause screen share so we can see faces again, please?
Yeah, if I can figure out how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Share. Is it gone now? Stop share.
No.
There it is. I found it. There you go.
Awesome. Okay, we got John Becker.
Got John.
Yeah, Alan, could I just ask that the revised presentation either be put into board effect or emailed to us or something? Because often at a rally, people will ask those same questions about where do we make money or not, what type of nonprofit are we, et cetera. And it's just very good to be on top of it. Thank you.
Yep, we'll do. We'll do.
Yeah, let's stick it in board effect. As you guys are understanding, we're using board effect as our official repository for things so that when people come on later, your successors, they can find the information there. All right, Michael?
Michael, yes.
Well, and on the 35% cap on that IRS notes that you put in, can you clarify that? Because we can discuss this offline, but it seems like with the International Rally profits, we've exceeded that 35% significantly.
No, so here's the way to think about it is when you receive revenue into a club, it can come from really basically one of 2 areas, from members inside the club or from outside the club. When we have an international rally, the fees that the members pay to the international rally to pay for the international rally, that's a member contribution. So it still stays within the member revenue contribution. What the 35% is revenue that we generate outside of member contributed fees. So it'd be like an advertising fee that you get from Airstream or a sponsorship fee that we get for international rally. So that would be what is in the gross receipts number for the 35%. Something that's contributed by the members to the club does not count in the 35%.
Yeah, thanks. And by the way, for the rest of you guys, a really good example of where this has become a real problem is that, this is general knowledge. So Washington Airstream Club up in Washington Lanyard Harbor Airstream Club up in Washington, they were allowing non-Airstream club members to stay on their Terraport, for a fee, right? Well, that revenue started to exceed that 35% number because they were non-members. And so they had to take action, rightly so, to limit the amount of revenue from non-WBCCI members. So that's where that happens. And we've seen it a couple other places as well, typically around Airstream local clubs that have a facility where they're getting revenue from non-Airstream owners. So, okay, awesome. Thank you. Good question, Michael. Other questions from anyone else on the board? All right, solid job. Again, I always have to point you all back to So this is why we have strategy sessions, right? Because we articulated the strategy a year ago. Actually, it was 2 years ago also. And so what's really cool to see is that we are following this down the road. So when you all meet for the next strategy session, it's really important to establish the priorities of the club, tell staff, tell the board what you all want to do, and that's what you focus on. So great job on that one. Lori, do we have any Q&A or questions here? I see one.
Yeah, I'm answering this for you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go next. Thank you, Alan. Anything other questions for Alan before he jumps off or hands the mic over? Okay, I see Barb Darian there, our international membership chair. Barb, on to you.
Hi, thank you. Is Eric or Lori, would you be able to? Lori
Yep.
can? Okay,
I got it.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me join this meeting. I will keep it as brief as possible. I wanted to highlight some things that the membership committee had been thinking about over the last year or even longer, related to how we recognize members who have been in the club for a substantial period of time. So what I wanted to do is just to go through, I'm not going to read every single item, but I wanted to go through the ideas, get some feedback if you have any, and you can also email me at my international chair email if you have more feedback. What we would like to do is to begin to work with Lori's team. We have met with them, and there are some exciting ideas in here that they can begin to work on as low-hanging fruit, and then work on any motions that might be needed for the next IBT meeting so that we can get movement on this in our 70th year. The other thing I want to say just off the topic is anytime I say the word star, I mean star/maple leaf. It's something that I'm not used to doing, because I'm so used to saying star, but in recognition to our Canadian members who are an important part of our club. And actually, I'm excited to head to the Nova Scotia rally with them and rally with them this September. But I did want to say that, and we do have a good representation on our membership committee, including a Canadian member and member from multiple regions. So I'm excited about the feedback that they've given. So what do we define as a legacy member? And I'm not locked into this word legacy. I just couldn't think of another word. So if anybody has any other word, that's great. You can recommend, and we can talk about that. But it's really those members who have been consistently enrolled in the club for 30 years or more. Currently, now this was summer data. We've been working on this for a while. So this was summer data, and I'll run the new numbers again as we move forward with some ideas. But back in the summer, we had 275 BRNs that fell into this designation. And of those, 88 of them were lifetime members. So a small population, but an important population to recognize and remember. And so what I've done is I've divided the ideas into minimal, easy, little to no cost impact, kind of low-hanging fruit ideas that really start capturing the longevity and the life that these members have lived during their time as an Airstream Club member. And these talk about let's start documenting, okay? And let's start making visual recognition. So big red numbers, star/maple leaves, and ideas. One of the ideas is to figure out a way to allow members, these particular members, not myself as an 8-year member, but these particular members, to designate their BRNs for future family members. And so what does that look like? If I'm a 35 or 40-year member and my son wants to, travel in my Airstream, how do I give him my number so that he can continue to live that 10826 legacy? Let's talk about, the stars are such a wonderful recognition. Stars/maple leaves are such a wonderful recognition. And we see them on Airstreams, we see them on plaques. How do we say, hey, when you get your sixth star, seventh star, eighth star, how do we really bring attention to that aside from just, putting them on the front of the Airstream? So we're thinking a different color, maybe a gold star or some other type of star / maple leaf. And then really let's recognize these people. I know some clubs do a wonderful job and some regions in their newsletters do a wonderful job. Let's take that up at the international level and let's start documenting the members that have achieved these milestones in the printed Blue Beret. And then this is one of my favorites, our Blue Beret articles. And I want to start profiling these members in a, and I'll call it a legacy section of the Blue Beret, but maybe 2-3 members every edition from multiple regions, and we can roam through the regions. And we really have a way to document their experience as Airstream owners and club members. What caravans, what are the things that they remember? Michael and I were on a Zoom call with a member from Quebec, and I was just, the stories are so wonderful about the babies in the Airstream. And I mean, they're just wonderful stories that we need to capture. So I want to start doing that in Blue Beret articles. Maybe a pin, maybe a different color ID cards. What do we do when they achieve these? Some clubs do a great job, some clubs maybe not, So let's talk about bringing this recognition up at the HQ level and identify how can we make sure that these members receive something in the mail when they achieve their next level of 5th. And let's recognize them at the international rally, whether it's a special gathering, a social hour, or, a stand up and recognize them at, the opening ceremony. So these are all ideas that were generated from the membership committee, and not a lot of money involved in any of these particular items. Next slide. The items that might have I put higher cost resource because they might have a complexity factor in them, even though they may not have a physical dollar cost to them, they might have a complexity factor involved. And this is creating something for our center, our museum, our center. And really, if we interview them, we Zoom call them, similar to what you get when you go to a Holocaust museum, although certainly not anywhere near the emotion of that. But can we run these in our center so people can have an opportunity to hear and listen to these stories? Let's create a plaque at the center that when somebody reaches 30 years, they get their name on a plaque, big board, which, has little metal plaques on them. Probably the bigger one that, has more of an item, a financial impact and a discussion is to freeze the dues for members and the year that they achieve their 30th year. And so, we've been meeting with Alan to do some financial impacts on this, had a number of conversations with different people. We've been actually working up what would a motion of this sort look like. We need to talk more with Lori, talk more with Mark and the IT organization. But an idea that you have contributed yourself to this club for 30 years, and now we're going to freeze you at the 30th year. Let's say the dues are $99 and I get my 30th year this year. So I will just pay $99 until I end my relationship with the club. So these are the paths that we've talked about to this recognition, that ties to our 70th year. Let's go to the next slide. The last one I talked a little bit was the inherited BRNs, and there are some complexities around that, and there are a lot of guardrails and a lot of rules that if anybody is interested in pursuing this idea, that we could start sussing out all of what does that look like. Next slide. So what do we want to do? So what I want to do is I want to work with Lori's team to help identify what are the financial / resource impacts of any of these that we choose to pursue. And then work with the IT tech team. This was really about the dues freeze, but there might be, in terms of the inherited BRNs, there might be something involved on a technical side. But what would that entail? Is it a big cost? Is it, financially viable? And get all this information together for any motions that would be needed for the April IBT meeting.
Barb, great job on
Comments?
this.
Yeah.
Let's do
Well,
this. Why don't
yeah.
you touch on your Explorer program metrics, and
Sure.
then we can have just a bunch of we can talk about all the stuff above. Okay.
Happy to. Last spring, I committed to. Poor next membership chair is going to have to do this. No,
Lori, can you share? Excuse me, Lori, can you share the Explorer program metrics? Also, sorry about that.
I committed to providing quarterly metrics related specifically to the Explorer program. So really, Lori's metrics are club wide, and this takes that Explorer membership and kind of pulls it out. What does that look like? So.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared for that. I'm getting there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not capable of sharing for some reason. Well, I'll just give you a little bit of an idea. Right now, based on the report that I received in early January, we have 1,162 active members that came through the Explorer program. That's a hugely growing population because in 2023, we had 192 join in that first half year, but in 2024, 970 new BRNs through this Explorer program. So this is a really, a substantial membership opportunity for us. And so you'll see the fourth quarter numbers and you'll see the fourth quarter renewals. And actually the renewal rate for fourth quarter was a little higher than it was for the prior quarters at 67%. And we do expect the renewal rate to be lower than our regular member renewal rate because this would be the first year that the individuals pay out of pocket for their membership. And if they haven't seen value in the membership or their purpose in having an Airstream doesn't align with the way that our club goals, then they drop. But 67, almost 70%, I think is pretty good for this population of people, since we're really only in our first year and a half of this program. And the BRNs by region, they align with our club, our standard club BRNs. There's a few regions that hold the majority. There was nothing unusual in the data there. Next slide. This is just a simple slide that details a little bit more, but I did want to draw to your attention that there are 209 BRNs that are going to renew in the first quarter of 2025. Next slide. So club affiliation, this is what we think is our largest challenge, is getting these individuals into a local club. Although I am working with Amanda to try to figure out if these numbers are misrepresented, because my local club saw some Explorer members come through as affiliates. They maintain their primary membership as at large, but they're coming through as affiliate members now. So I'm not convinced that this 73% unaffiliated is an accurate number, because the gross data did not show affiliate clubs. It only showed primary clubs. So I believe that we are seeing a better, an increased migration to selecting a local club. I just need to get more data to really be able to show that members are making connections to local clubs. So that's the Explorer stuff.
Oh, fantastic job, Barb. I'm so impressed. Okay, questions for Barb or comments? All righty. Oh,
John.
Just Yeah, when we set up the Explorer Club membership, would you say so far we're doing better than we would have hoped? That it's a successful program, or do you have next steps of, hey, here's what we need to do to tweak it?
Good questions.
Let me answer that a little. Let me
yeah.
answer just first. Strategically, John, there is no doubt that it's been successful. And I will speak just at this point of cementing that relationship with Airstream Inc. Because, 2 years ago, Airstream Inc. never really talked about our club to potential Airstream buyers. They just didn't, for all the reasons you know of. Now, with every Airstream they sell, they talk about our club. And this program has also, as Lori Tilton has said, is driving our literature into all the dealerships, which is even more important. So there's all these derivative benefits. In terms of numbers, yeah, it's about what I expected personally. But let me go back to Barb and then Terry on that question, though.
Yeah, so John, to Eric's point about the dealer relationships at the beginning of when the sale is made, that's really where I think we need to be stronger. I know from my own local club, we approached our dealer with a poster board and flyers that we got from HQ, and they gave us a corner in their dealership. So these are, strengthening those dealer relationships to get the front end. But once they get in and they, I am of the opinion that we need to have a more personal touch with these individuals who have not joined a local club. And so what does the next phase of the Explorer outreach look like? We've tried a couple iterations of this that have not been super successful. So I think the membership committee and the Explorer liaisons, who tend to be regional membership chairs themselves, need to really look deeper into how do we keep touching those members who have not aligned with a local club, under the assumption that once a member aligns with a local club, either as a primary or an affiliate member, the local club is doing its best to get those members engaged and renewed. Terry?
Okay, we got Terry and then Chris and then John.
Barbara, I think you're doing an incredible job with membership. I love the legacy focus. I think it's really important. Do you have any idea, when we're talking about freezing, the possibility of freezing dues, do you have any idea how many of those 288, I think you said, are farther down the road, like 35, 40, 45 years? Do you have those numbers? I'm not asking you for them, but I'm wondering if you have them.
I do. I do have those numbers from the summer data that I had pulled. When I pull the data again to refresh the financial impact, I'll have a better count. It's surprising. I mean, when you're talking about 270, I think there were like 55, something like that. There were over 40 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's amazing.
There's a number of them, yeah.
Thanks again for your hard work on this program, Barb.
Thank you. Chris Olson?
Hi, for what it's worth, we have in Region 7 and the Minnesota Club 2 members within the last year that are members at large and have joined the Minnesota Club as affiliates. So yes, there is an affiliate number that should probably be taken into account.
Right. I need to get that in the data. Yeah. Thank you. John? John Holly?
You're muted, John.
Sorry about that. I think you've hit about some good points. And as Eric said, the Airstream Inc. has done a good job in making sure that these members get recognized and get their dues paid. But the important thing is to get it out to the dealers. Some of the dealers are still not publicizing this event and not making it possible. When I bought an Airstream, I remember in LA, my first Airstream, the dealer had a reception for all new members that bought an Airstream and actually talked about the club and membership and everything. And if more dealers would do that, if we could get that out to them somehow, that would help out a lot. Secondly, I don't see that the affiliate thing is a bad thing. At a recent rally I attended, I had some Explorer members come up to me, a couple, and they were affiliates. And I said, well, do you want to join the club? And said, no, we're having fun visiting all the clubs, and we really have no preference as to which club we'd like to join. So as an affiliate, the clubs are getting the benefit of the dues from these affiliates of all the clubs they join. So to me, I think that's a good thing. I don't think we need to
I
stress
agree.
them joining one club.
No, I would never do that. I was just stating that when I was publishing these numbers, the data pool that I was provided only showed primary club. It didn't show the affiliates. And so I believe that the count that says 70% of these members remain unaffiliated to a local club is not correct. And so I will be, working on trying to add that data to the extract I get. Absolutely. I think, I'm affiliate member 5 or 6. I don't even know how many clubs now. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you, John.
Understood. And I think, what we might consider doing is we've talked about it. Mark Neidem and I have talked about this. We should start an MAL club.
Well,
it would be the largest club in Airstream history. It would be 1,200 members in one club if we started that. Anyway, that's an idea.
More. Thank you, John. Jenny.
Barb, thank you so much for all the hard work you're doing. You've done an awful lot. Just 2 points I wanted to raise. One was, is there, and I don't know the answer to this, is there any potential disconnect, conflict, whatever, with the life member program when we talk about freezing dues at the 30th year? Just food for thought. The second point I wanted to bring out was I had a great opportunity. I went down to Tampa to help with the membership table at the big, huge RV show with the Blue Compass, which is the largest dealership in America. The interaction between their salespeople and their staff and Tim Maxwell from Airstream Inc. and us was absolutely invaluable. And Lori had hinted at expanding this to where we have a presence at RV shows around the country, right with the dealer. And that, I think, is probably the best way for us to showcase to the dealers the importance of the club. We've said it time and again, Airstream makes a product, we support the lifestyle. And I really think that that might be something that people were stopping, but we had a great location, but people were stopping by saying, what is this club? What is this? And it was just amazing, the interaction. So I think that you've talked about the personal touch, the reaching out. Well, then the dealership was sending the people right back to our table right after their purchase. So it was a really great experience. I think that might be expanded, whether it's within the membership committee or whether it's just happens to happen. But that answers a lot.
I agree. I actually did it last year. I was unable to go this year for other conflicts. Wink, wink. But I actually think we sold some Airstreams. I didn't get a commission, but I think we actually sold some at the table as well. So.
I as well.
Yeah. Lori, you have a question?
Yeah, just to follow up, and I will say, Jenny, I know sold at least 2 Airstreams, but that's another story. Working with the dealers has been one of my passions, and I'm continually doing that. And so I feel like every time we're able to get that physical interaction with the dealer on a positive note, they I don't want to say warm up to us, but they're much more friendlier and letting us do more and get more stuff in their dealerships. But, it's a training thing too across our clubs and our regions that, this has to be a equal relationship, not just a transitional or a transaction type relationship asking for this and that. So I'm really looking forward to growing this. I know Marcia, I know she can't be here today, but is working on establishing, I forget the name of the committee, the special committee, but transitioning that into a standard committee. So I definitely think we're going to grow this.
And one, I see one more. Then we're going to move on. Yeah.
Yeah, I see Sean.
I just wanted to say, Lori, to your point, the door handle that you did for the dealers is awesome. And it's in Bay Area Airstream. So that works really, really well.
Thank you.
Thanks. And just a reminder to the region president, so it used to be 2, 3 years ago that members at large were lumped together with no organizational connection. They kind of rolled up under headquarters, so they were just sort of left out. But starting a couple of years ago, every member at large is assigned to one of your 12 regions. And if you use the membership directory, when you send out your region newsletters and click on, well, they'll show up in your list, right? And so it's a really excellent opportunity for the region presidents to start to include members at large in your communications as well. Okay, so Mona, you're muted still yet.
I hate the mute. No, not really. Hey, members at large a couple of years ago weren't even allowed to vote. They didn't have a voice in our election process, and that changed, which is quite wonderful. Barb, you're doing a great job. Long time ago, before I considered running for office at the international level, all I really wanted to be was the international membership chair, and you're doing far more than I could have done. That's all I wanted to do.
Careful what you say.
But you're
Careful what you say.
You're doing a great job. No, I'm done there. But a couple of things that I run into are people still, even in the club, don't know what big red numbers are or what actually the stars and maple leaves are. And so it'd be really fun to get content out on a regular basis, even at the shows. What are these big red numbers and what do the stars mean? And before we started this call, I talked about Darlene Leslie, number 29. I lived in Oregon. I would go to Lanyard Harbor and stare at all the trailers, and there was an RV motorhome with 8 stars, and it was number 29. And I just was enthralled with this woman. Eric, you know her. And she's still just right up here on my idol list. So how do we talk about that? How do we continue to repeat it? And how do we share it with people who don't know anything about the club? So you don't have enough on your plate. So I just thought I'd throw a few more things out there. But great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't want to be that anymore.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Barb. Okay, so we're going to do, here's the plan. We're going to do the next issue, the next topic, which is the Historical Center, and then we're going to take a 15-minute break, okay? And then we'll go into the capstone stuff. All righty. No unfinished business. Mr. Gully. So we've got David Gully, and I'm going to just give a little quick overview, and then David Gully is going to talk about what this is. And you'll see in the resolution that I've got in the board packet, there's a resolution that proposes how to start this. This is a separate entity, so David will say it, I will say it, Jeannie will probably say it, Alan will probably say it, but what we're talking about is a separate, completely separate 501c3 entity, and it has to be that way for tax purposes, right? So, but it's launching out of our club. And so the resolution today is for you all to say, yeah, are we okay with launching this thing that we're not going to frankly control, and what its purpose is and what its initial board of directors is. Okay. All right. Mr. Gully, go ahead.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Eric, thank you for inviting me. We're very excited about what we're seeing as the next chapter for 803. This building has housed our club and our history for the last 40 years. And now we're trying to turn it into a historical center, a library that can house not only the 70 years of history that we have, but also the next 70 years of history. As Eric said, we are looking at forming a separate 501(c)(3) corporation. The whole purpose of this is for us to be able to reach out for charitable donations. We're going to be asking for donations, not only for cash donations, but for also donations of artifacts, information that either individuals, local units, regions have. We have started this recently. Joe Poplinski and I and Eric have worked on this. Amazingly, I have just, even in the last few months, received several regions have sent me a lot of their documents. The clubs have sent me a lot of their documents. I am currently, I would say that I'm also, besides being on the historical committee, I'm the librarian because I am now housing everything that came out of 803. Because we are starting our scan project for the historical committee. But the important things we want everyone to know is we are going to be asking for donations for artifacts, for funds. These funds are going to be used for not only archival supplies, for computer kiosks that can be used in the area that will be the clubhouse that people have easy access to, more scanning software, more than even what we're using now, and just a lot of different things. What we're trying to do here is, like I said, and the main point I want to make is everything that the club owns today, all our artifacts, all our documents, and right now most of our documents are paper documents. So that's the reason we're going to make a push trying to get more artifacts and stuff that is displayable, something that would look appropriate on a shelf. But with that is everything that the club presently owns is just going to be on loan to this new 501c3. The purpose of that is, for some reason down the road, we decided it wasn't the proper way to set it up, or we end up rolling into some other 501c3s. I want everybody to rest assured that our club will maintain ownership of everything that we own today. And I even want to do even any future gifts to be donated to the C7 club, but then again loaned to the C3 club. We've started a lot of preliminary work on working with our existing WBCCI Foundation for fundraising and long-term goals. We'll be talking to, not only our members, but to dealers, to corporations, Airstream suppliers, to all help us work on this. We're also, in conjunction and with Airstream's approval to do this, since we are right down the street, we're trying to partner with Airstream and to partner with the Heritage Center to become just one more thing while our members are in Jackson Center to be able to attend. They go to the Jackson Center, they go to the Heritage Center, they see the history of the trailer. But what we want them to do now is come on down the street and see the history of the club and see how Airstream's almost 100-year history ties right along to our 70-year history. And like I said, the main thing is the club is going to retain all ownership. We are working closely with Joe Poplinski and the historical committee, who will be overseeing the archival. We have reached out to Samantha Martin, which I think a lot of y'all know, as far as helping us to set up the actual rules of having proper archival storage. Like I said, we're very excited about it. Eric reached out to several of us, and we have formed I would assume, a preliminary board based on y'all's approval, that I will be the founding president. Jenny will be the founding vice president. Alan has agreed to be the founding treasurer, and Eric has agreed to be the founding secretary. Once that is officially approved and going forward, I think then we will open it up and we will add more members that we would call the trustees and voting members. And this is when we'll reach out to other organizations that are still in our WBCCI family to form that board as far as helping on fundraising and helping on future relationships. But again, thank you. And I'm also proud to be one of those 88 legacy members that you talked about.
Thanks, David. And then, Janie, if you can just do a quick overview of sort of what the thoughts are for 803 and how we figure out the membership center and this. Thanks.
Yes. Yeah. What we're doing is I've had a local architect friend, one of our club members, take the layout with Eric's guidance and pushing, I should say, and basically for it to be a historical center or a educational center, as the 501c3 is supposed to fall in those guidelines, we have to 60% of the facility has to be for this historic purpose. So what we've done is we've basically, if y'all familiar with 803, is when you walk in the door, the wall to the right will continue to be. As you go further back, that wall will jot over and back to the double back doors, which is roughly 60% of the building. In that area, we will set up an archival storage, mainly to start off with. Then again, most of our historical documents today are paper. not really something that somebody's going to get really excited about looking at through a piece of glass. That's the reason we're going to ask for more historical documents, but that's also the reason we're starting our scanning project. With that, with a kiosk in what the rest of the 40% will be considered the member area. We would like to have a kiosk in there with a computer where if somebody's staying there or if somebody's just in town and they want to go look up their grandfather's, BRN numbers or to find out what rallies they've been, or if they want to go back and pull up a blue beret from, 30 years ago, they'll be able to do that with fairly easy access. The rest of the start off with will be just archival stores. There's a lot of rules and regulations to be considered in an archival center that we will have to follow. And we've got several people, including Dale, that has willing to contribute some additional stuff, some of his mother's Helen stuff, who was one of the main founders of our club, but his concern is the archival and the security of these documents. So we're working heavily on that. The other 40% of the building we're setting up, our future plans is to hopefully have a clubhouse, which I know Jenny's working on extensively. And she has done not only a budget plan for us to know what we're doing as far as charitable donations, but she's also putting together a very robust plan on what we can do for the clubhouse side. And I don't want to take any Jenny stuff. So we are looking at it as two separate entities. And because of it being a separate 501c3 that allows people to make charitable donations, tax deductible donations to us, that's the reason we're required to have a separate board. Even though everybody will be a WBCCI member, hopefully with the parent company best interest at heart, but we have to set it up. And just so we weren't all on the EC level, that's the reason Eric has asked me to be the founding president.
Thank you, David. Any updates, any additional things from Jenny or from Alan? And then we'll go into questions, and I want to move this resolution.
Thank you. Well, David's given a great overview of the historical part, but the remaining 40% or so will be for our member clubhouse. And this is all inside what was previously the headquarters building 803. As you know, we successfully completed the entire renovation of the building that was the bank, dental office, and accounting office. And the headquarters staff has moved in comfortably and settling in with all the little nuances of a move. Once everything is moved out of all the materials that are still sitting over in 707 that weren't going to be used in the new headquarters building at 8 that are still in 803 that were not moved to 707. That'll happen toward the end of April, and then we can begin designating the construction portions of things. The interesting thing about the overview is that the building 803, having 60% dedicated to the historical center, we are leasing that to the historical center. Everything will still all be owned by our club. We're talking about, new 501c3 and new entity entirely, and yet it will be a lease arrangement. They will not own that building. The club will still own all the asset. In addition, we'll hopefully by late spring be breaking ground on the clubhouse portion, which will involve demoing a bit of the existing part on the interior in order to create 3 restrooms that have showers and a laundry room. There will be storage in the very back where there currently is storage now, used by the club for large storage of all the rally giveaways. That stuff comes in on pallets, and rather than eat up real estate over in the new headquarters building, we've decided to retain that one back room for storage for the club. The interesting part is that we also have plans for the outside. We have plans to erect a pavilion for the members to enjoy the outside, and we have plans to build a dog park pretty much right away, complete with a water station and cleanup. To become good neighbors, we feel it's appropriate to consider installing some fencing to act as a noise and visual barrier that the neighborhood behind us is not ever overwhelmed by the presence of our shiny silver streams. So these are all in a wonderful vision for our next 70 years. As you know, that the original land and building were created through a donation and a capital campaign in 1984, and we're looking to kind of give ourselves a facelift. So things are going well. We are growing our assets. We are doing very, very well in being flexible and responsive to what we feel the members are asking of us, and offering some pretty exciting options for you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Alan, anything you want to add? I know you also, by the way, David touched on it, but both David and Alan and I have spoken with Dindy Jarrett, who is the president of the BBCCA Foundation. He's working with us. But Alan, anything you want to add or for the board before we move to the resolution? And I'm going to do a roll call vote on the resolution just to get it on the record.
No, I think you've covered everything. Nothing to add here.
Okay, questions for David, Jenny, or Alan before we go into the resolution? And by the way, let me just read what the resolution resolves. And just for some of you non-bureaucrats, we do motions sometimes. Oh, not sometimes, a lot of times. Motions are generally when you want to change our bylaws or policies. If there is a decision the board is trying to take that doesn't affect bylaws or policy, then we use resolutions. Basically, the board resolves to do this, right? So that's why we're using a resolution format. So the resolution that you'll be doing a roll call vote on shortly is the WBCCI Executive Council shall begin development planning and fundraising for 803 building. And this is in your notes, by the way. The EC, Executive Council, shall provide quarterly fundraising and project updates to the full IBT. The Historical Center founding officers shall be David Gully as president, Jennifer Stetler as vice president, Alan Rabb as treasurer, and Eric McHenry as secretary. And WBCCI club actions resulting from this resolution shall comply with the WBCCI financial budget reporting and oversight process. So basically, any funds used as part of this will have to comply with the standard budgeting and approval process we have at our club. Okay, let's go right to roll call vote. Terry?
Thank you. Past President Mona Watts.
Yes.
I'm going to vote yes. Region 3 President Robert Ely.
Yes.
EC member Jenny Schnettler.
Yes.
What a surprise. Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Absolutely, yes.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Yes.
Region 7 President Chris Olson.
Yes.
Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
Yes.
EC member Kendall Felder.
Yes.
Region 9 President Tracy Elkins.
Yes.
Region 11 President John Hawley.
Yes.
EC member Jim Cock.
Yes.
Region 2 President Gary Russo.
Yes.
Region 5 President John Deegan.
Yes.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
Yes.
Region 8 President Rick Everson.
Yes.
Region 1 President Michael Junta.
Yes.
Region 12 President Sean Blum.
Yes.
EC member John Becker.
Yes.
EC member Kathy Giese.
Yes.
It's unanimous, Eric, yes.
Thank you, guys. And I think it's just so appropriate that in the 70th year of our club, we're launching this. And one of the goals that, Dave, Jenny, Allen, and I had is that let's try to do whatever we want to call it groundbreaking. We probably won't be doing construction, but something on Wally's birthday, right, for the 70th year of our club. It's just totally appropriate. The timing is fantastic. So thank you all for your help on this, and look forward to more updates from David and the team. All right, so the next step is that we're going to take a 15-minute break. And so just to be specific, I want y'all to come back at 9:45 Pacific. It's actually 13 minutes, but I think we're okay with that. And then we'll get going with the member comment, which there is none so far, by the way. And there's no consent item, so we'll probably go directly into the special committee capstone. So come back in at 9:45 Pacific. So thanks much.
Jen, I see. She just texted me. Yes.
Okay, can you hear me and see me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome sauce, thank you.
Sure. Dindy should be coming on as well.
Perfect.
Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see you.
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer.
Good morning or afternoon, depending on who you are, where you are.
Morning, neighbor.
Hi.
Sounds like your hair's on fire, Jennifer.
Oh my gosh, I literally just got out of another meeting, and it's gonna be ugly for a couple weeks, I think.
Who said government moves slow?
I have never seen anything happen so quickly in my entire career. Never.
Jennifer, what's your work other than on this?
Well, I don't really say a lot to people. I work for an agency. I manage all of the leadership training and training to go in and close defunct banks, as well as course maintenance programs and a full curriculum of leadership, as well as a facility up in Dallas for training.
I was just going to tell them all you're head of the CIA and you can't talk about it.
Yeah, I belong to one of those lettered agencies.
You should make it fun. My wife for a long time would tell people I did a job that I constantly traveling, that I just sold guns around the world.
Oh,
I was a gun runner.
a gun runner.
They stop asking.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna start
Welcome.
using that. I think it's a good one.
Welcome back, Terry. Let's do a roll call again as we start into the second part of our meeting. Oh, Terry back.
All right, let me get a roll call sheet here. Okay. Sorry? Okay.
Nothing, go ahead.
President McHenry,
Present.
Vice President Millie O'Donnell,
Present.
I'm here. Finance Director Alan Robb,
Yo ho.
EC Member John Becker,
Present.
EC Member Kathy Giese,
Present.
EC Member Jenny Schnettler,
Present.
EC Member Kendall Felder,
Right and sharp.
Past International President Mona Watts,
Present.
Region 1 President Michael Junta,
Present.
Region 2 President Gary Russo,
Here.
Region 3 President Robert Ely,
Present.
Region 4 President Fred Keel,
Present.
Region 5 President John Deegan,
Present.
Region 6 President Jan Heavener,
Present.
Region 7 President Chris Olson,
Present.
Region 8 President Rick Everson,
Present.
Region 9 President Tracy Elkins,
Present.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni,
Present.
Region 11 President John Hawley,
Here.
Region 12 President Sean Bloom,
Present.
Parliamentarian Lori Grassi. Is
Here.
Lori back? Yes, I see her. Executive Director Lori Tilton.
Here.
We're all here. Marcia House is the only person not present. Eric.
You
All right,
didn't call
thank
my
you.
name.
Oh, Jim Cook. Why didn't I call your name?
I'm here. Thank you.
I put a check by your name, but I didn't call your name. Sorry. I'm glad you're here.
Likewise.
All right, thank you all for your patience and promptness, by the way. I understand we have no member comment or correspondence to the IBT. Is that accurate, Lori?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so next we have no consent items, so we're going to go into item 10.0. Jennifer, Jim, I'm going to hand this to you in terms of how your presenting order, but just keep in mind, everyone, as I mentioned, the latest attachments are attached, the latest versions are attached. So I would give you all enough time to talk things through and vote or just vote I'm going to do. So Jim/Jennifer, who's starting?
I think Jim is going to start, and then I'll give the short presentation for everyone that hasn't been on these calls, and then we can move on from there if you don't mind.
Perfect. And we've asked Dindy Jarrett to come in and join also. Dindy was on Jennifer's team. Jennifer's working on some stuff in her business life related to the special orders that from our president a couple of days ago. So she may have to jump off, but thank you for carving some time out for us. Okay, Jim.
Good morning. This is Jim Cock, member of the EC and a voluntold member and chair of the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. And I'm proud to have been associated with Capstone Committee members and the CB&L Committee members working on this motion and other things for the past, 3 months now. Regarding this Capstone motion, y'all are already familiar with the contents. You've had a chance to review the motion. This is 2025-01 and 2025-02. The first one is bylaws. The second one is policy. There's also the change log, which has been distributed to all the members of the IBT. It was also on the member-facing webpage. The change log shows the improvements that we've made since the study session a week and a half ago. First, yes, these are a long couple of motions. The parts in this motion they're interdependent, much like the relationship between many of the parts in your car or truck. You can't take a wheel off. Well, you can take the spare off, but you can't take a wheel off the ground and still go down the road. Your transmission has to work with your engine. And on the new trucks, all the parts are connected. Try and change just a light bulb in the tail light. Yeah. So simpler changes are easy to approve, but sometimes we have to do the difficult work. This is difficult work for you and for Capstone and CNBL. A couple of high notes on the changes since the study session. Thank you to Tracy Elkins, Michael Giunta, Gail Harrower, International Past Treasurer, and Joanne Miller, International Past Parliamentarian. Thank you all for bringing specific constructive suggestions. You helped tremendously in the improvements that we've made on this just since the study session. So thank you all for your specific comments. We did not receive input from any other parties. You can see the amount of hard work we've done to create the best improvements we can to the bylaws. There is no perfect work by man, but we can improve this further later. There may be motions today to amend the Capstone motion. I'm confident that they are well thought out and they deserve your careful consideration. I recommend the IBT approve the motion as brought. Thank you. I yield to Jennifer.
Thank you, Jim. All right. Good morning and afternoon to everybody. For those that may be watching who do not know who I am, I'm Jennifer Dice. I'm the chair for the Executive Council Restructured Capstone Committee, which you've probably heard of as just Capstone. So I'm going to go over a little bit more of a presentation that I did previously with some new data in it, just to make sure that everybody watching does have an understanding of where the capstone was coming from on these recommendations and the work that they did. So in the winter of 2024, the CBL committee identified ambiguities in the Blue Book regarding the Executive Council and requested formation of the Capstone Committee. The scope of this committee's work was to define and simplify the terms and conditions of service on the Executive Council, to address any other ambiguities we found in the Blue Book, and clarify language in the Blue Book regarding the EC restructure. A committee of 5 members from various regions came together. They reviewed numerous background documents. They combed through the Blue Book, and they had many intense conversations and discussions in order to bring the recommendations that are solid. So when this motion passes, it will clarify the number of years in a term. It will communicate how many terms may be served on the EC. It defines a hiatus period, solidifies the start date for the Executive Council. It clarifies terms of service in the club, or the prior club structure, which was the Executive Committee. Defines positions executive officers may serve in after hiatus, and it communicates how a midterm vacancy is filled and the impact that may have to terms. The last thing it does is it changes references to the International Treasurer and Finance Director, from International Treasurer to Finance Director. So as a little bit of background, in 2022, August of 2022, the new constitutional change became effective. In June of 2023, WBCCI held its very first election under the new Executive Council framework. This was the first time any member could submit a statement of candidacy to show that they were interested in serving on the Executive Council. It was the very first time every member had their individual vote counted directly for the candidates that they thought would best serve the club. And it was the first time the Executive Council officers were selected by, or elected rather, by the IBT from the top 9 Executive Council members elected by that club membership. This is important because in 2023, not 2022, all of these steps were taken exactly as the process was laid out in the Blue Book in Constitution Article 7, Section 1B, which states in part, and I quote, "The IBT shall have 4 international officers who are executive officers of the club, a president, a vice president, a recording secretary, and a finance director. The president, vice president, and recording secretary shall be elected by the voting members of the IBT from the eligible 9 executive council members at large that were elected to the IBT by the club membership," end quote. It's also supported in the Constitution in Article 8, Section 2, which states in part, and I quote, "All executive officers except the finance director shall be elected from the eligible council members by the IBT for a term of 2 years," end quote. I quote that because that's what's codified in writing in the Blue Book, which is our governing document. So let's go on to the elements of the motion so that I can speak to you about why the different recommendations were made. In in Article 8, Board of Trustees and Executive Council, Section 3, Election of Executive Council Members, and item number 2, it states Executive Council members shall be council terms shall be 2 years. Executive Council members may serve on the council for 3 terms. The exception is the immediate past president, who may serve on the council for a maximum of 4 terms. Each Executive Council member may run for an Executive Council position after a continuous 6-year hiatus. The hiatus starts once the member is no longer, they don't have voting rights any longer on the IBT. The committee's viewpoint on this for the years and terms, that 2-year term was already part of the Constitution in Article 8, Section 2. Previously, some things were defined by years, while others were defined by terms. So the committee thought it best to state that a term is equal to 2 years, and then speak in terms throughout the Blue Book. 3 terms was also previously in the bylaws, Article 8, Section 4.2, but it was defined in years, not terms. So 3 terms allows that new member to get experience in their first term before being eligible to run for an executive officer position, should they desire to do so. 3 terms also provides time to stay involved in long-term strategic initiatives for those members who do not actually aspire to an officer position. And the additional 1 term is granted as the past international president. Committee viewpoints on the 6-year hiatus. 6 years is future forward-looking, and it acknowledges that some of our members may serve early in their membership and then age into serving additional terms in their lifetime. Let's face it, this is a volunteer organization. We shouldn't turn people away who want to be involved. And also, our membership will decide how many terms they want a person to serve on the council by their vote. And we should empower them to be that involved. It allows for sufficient time to pass to ensure a member who applies again is truly interested in continuing the strategic direction established by club leadership. They also bring a little bit of fresh eyes and ideas that can be used further. No more voting rights gives a definitive start time to the hiatus. And 6 years, it really simplifies the terms and keeps them consistent with other terms of office that are already in the Constitution and bylaws. So this is easier to remember and calculate for our members. In Section 3, election of executive council members, Item 3, service beginning in election year 2023 shall be the start of the EC and officer term limits. Service prior to 2023 election applies only to experience for officer eligibility. So our committee's viewpoint on this was that they wanted to draw a very clear line in the sand that's definitive while also being inclusive, level setting, and easy to understand and calculate. In 2023, using that start date, it level sets everyone to the same time. There's no complicated calculations to determine if someone is served 1 year under the old governance structure or 2 years under the new. It keeps the complexity away and it puts members in the same position where they're ineligible to serve a full term under if you have to combine the 2 time periods. We don't want to do that to members to add that complexity to them. We want engagement, and level setting to 2023 helps with that. The Constitution and bylaws are ambiguous on a specific start date, but do clearly outline the expectations in the process. A start date of the 2023 election is supported by the Constitution in Article 7, Section 1, and Article 8, Section 2, as discussed in the background information of this presentation. Members will easily understand why the 2023 election is the first term in the new governance structure. As a matter of fact, our esteemed colleague on here, Mona, past International President Mona Watts, she said it not once, but twice in the Blue Beret. The first time was in May 2023, when she said, to launch such a departure from our historical leadership voting process and have 30 members representing 25 local clubs and 1 member at large, and 11 regions with over 285 years of club membership is incredible. And she was right. She went on in that article to remind everyone to flag their calendars for June 1st, when they would receive a ballot, electronic ballot, to vote for those 9 executive council members for the 2023-2025 years. She said, your vote will make a long-lasting positive contributions to the future of your club. Then in June 2023, in another article, she asked, do you know that this is the first time in the 68-year history of Airstream Club International that all members interested in serving on the international board were encouraged in the EC, were encouraged to submit their interest electronically? That each member with a current email address was going to be able to vote on that ballot, and that every one of our 18,000 plus members had the opportunity to cast their vote for those 9 candidates at the 2023 to 2025 council. This type of communication and voting did not happen in 2022. It was in 2023. Lastly, with the biggest thing I think to remember is even though the starting year is 2023, members are still in charge of determining who is voted into the EC, and the IBT is still responsible for who they elect into the executive officer positions. These are two very strong safety nets that give the membership and the IBT the power to prohibit current officers from serving in the same role again. The next section in the motion is section 4, election and terms of office of international officers. Item 6 and item 7 state the term of the immediate past international president ends with the new president when the new president is installed, or when a maximum of 4 terms on the Executive Council has been served. Item 7, the required IPIP hiatus time may be paused if called to fill a vacancy in the IPIP position during their hiatus. The committee's viewpoint on this was that it acknowledges a potential decline in the pool of IPIPs who may be able to serve. It also allows the PIP voted into the role by the PIP Council not to be penalized for the hiatus time served if that past international president aspires to serve on the Executive Council again. In item 9 and item 10, the past international vice president and international secretaries may serve as international officers again after waiting the required hiatus. And a person who has served 2 terms as the international president, they're no longer eligible to serve as an international officer. Terms served as president are not required to be consecutive. After hiatus, a past international president who served 2 terms as president may only return as an Executive Council member, not as an international officer. The committee's viewpoint on this was that it allowed executive officers, all executive officers, kind of a bite at that apple of being president should they desire to do that during their first 3 terms. Not even the first, just during those 3 terms. It acknowledges that the past president can add value to any Executive Council position, even without being an executive officer, and it also limits time at the helm. In the next section of the motion, Article 10, Duties of International Officers, Section 2, Item D states the Vice President shall serve as President pro tem if there is a midterm vacancy in the presidency until the president is able to resume their duties, or wait until a permanent replacement is elected by the IBT to fill a midterm vacancy. This time will not be counted against the president, against them as their president. Let me start over. This time will not be counted as time in the president position. So the committee's viewpoint on this was that it seemed like a natural progression of who would back up the president in case the vacancy happens, and it doesn't penalize the vice president with time off their term should they in the future become president if they aspire to run for that position. In closing, I will bring up social media one more time, which I spoke to you guys about in the study session. Larry Madden, who was a region president at the time, said it was agreed by all that the transition year would count as a full term in office, and referred readers to the Savannah IBT minutes. In response to that, our former parliamentarian Joanne Miller said that the language is in the Constitutional Amendment 2 from the Freiburg Summer 2022 session. She said that it clearly stated in the proviso that new leadership structure would begin August 1st, 2022, and that it was clearly understood by everyone attending the discussion that the first year of the new structure, 2022, would count as a full 2-year term. But that response is not entirely factual for what was communicated to members in the May 2022 Blue Beret and what members voted on in the Constitutional Amendment number 2. Here's what it actually says. The proviso in the Constitutional Restructuring Amendment number 2, if approved, starts the implementation process on August 1st, 2022. This allows the International Board of Trustees time to consider and approve necessary bylaw and policy changes before the approved restructuring amendment goes into effect. There will also be a transition plan, which provides for the newly elected officers of the WBCCI 2022 election to retain their position as president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. The elected second and third VP positions would become members of the Executive Council without titles. Each of these positions will be for only 1 year until WBCCI members elect the full Executive Council in 2023. The International Board of Trustees would then elect its executive officers in 2023 from the members of the Executive Council. The executive officers elected in the IBT in 2023 will serve for 2 years, a 2-year term. That's word for word from the proviso provided to all members to make their decision on what they voted for in Constitutional Amendment number 2. So I guess I'm not sure how it gets much clearer than that for 2023 being the first year of the Executive Council. That's in alignment with the capstone's recommendation. I'm also hopeful that you didn't ignore the letter from Tom Smithson, our former Constitution and Bylaws chair. It was sent to the IBT, the entire IBT, on November 3rd, and it concluded with, it is the interpretation of the then Constitutional and Bylaws chair that the full implementation of the new structure would begin with the 2023 election of the Executive Council. The IBT would then elect the international officers from the eligible candidates on the Executive Council. This election would serve as the starting point for term considerations for any officer position. Prior service in any position other than as a member of the Executive Council during the transition period should not be considered, except as the proviso states, meeting the 2-year service requirement of Article 8. And I don't want to belabor the point, but as a newer member, I should not have to look through years of proposed motions and be in the know about special committee discussions to understand how this club functions. Our club follows Robert's Rules of Order, and there are several locations that speak to the authority of governing documents, requirements for recording and codifying amendments, and proper recording of actions, just to name a few. According to Roberts, an organization's constitution, bylaws, and any formally adopted governing documents are the highest authority. Our club is not governed by hearsay and discussion, nor should it be governed by personal agendas or those on the outside of this board underhandedly influencing through relationships and social media mayhem. The language of the Constitution is voted on by the members, and the club is governed by the Blue Book, which according to Roberts has supremacy. I encourage you to think seriously about what your members understood through the formal club publication and voted for. What the Blue Book Articles 7 and 8 about the process is that you're expected to uphold. And what that is best for the club when you vote today for the capstone recommendations, including that the 2023 year is in fact the first year of the Executive Council structure. Thank you.
Okay, this is a motion from a special committee, so I need a second on the motion. Sorry, can you read the motion summary, please, Jennifer? I move that bylaws, blah, blah, blah. It's about a paragraph.
Yes, let me pull it up really quick. I move to delete bylaws Article 8, Sections 2 and 5, amend 8 as shown in Exhibit 1, renumber Article 8, Sections 7 through 13, and to amend Article 10 to align these bylaws with the Constitution as stated in Exhibit 1. And I further move to replace all incidents of international treasurer or treasurer with finance director in bylaws Article 3, 8, and 10.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second to the motion?
Second.
Second.
Okay, I think Tara, you can record yourself. I think you were on there first. All right, do we have any discussions on the motion? I see Millie's hand up first.
Yes, thank you. And Jen and team et al., thank you for your work on this. Mr. President, I move to amend the motion 2025-01, Exhibit 1, proposed changes to Article 8, Section 3, subsection 3 in the first line, changing 2023 to 2022. So if passed, the amended sentence would read, service beginning in election year 2022 shall be the start of executive council and officer term limits. Service prior to 2022 election applies only to experience for officer eligibility.
I'm sorry, can you just one more time read it and then kind of give a little bit of your thought of kind of behind it? We heard a long discussion from the original motion maker. Perhaps you could share with the board your rationale for the amendment. But read
Absolutely.
it again, please, because there's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. So I'll skip the whole I move the motion. You know all the
Yeah,
motion numbers. I'm sure you guys have that printed out and in front of you. So the two sentences that I would propose we change would read, service beginning in election year 2022 shall be the start of the executive council and officer limits. As it's written now, it says 2023. Service prior to 2022 election applies only to experience for officer eligibility. The reasoning behind this motion, Mr. President, is that although I understand Jennifer's point regarding what was written in the Blue Beret or what came out in letters from Tom and other various places, we as a group, and I don't speak for everyone, many of us in this group and in the membership were led to believe with this new system that our service beginning in 2022, in August of 22, when we were elected to the new executive council, would count, that first year would count as a full term. To change it now changes what the membership voted on in total. To change it now does not change the body of the motion that's been written in its totalness, whatever that word is, not totalness, in its totality. It's a great motion and it does clean up a lot of ambiguity. It does change for the good, the ability to read it and understand it for the membership, which is super important. We have an awful lot of legalese buried in here. And I think the majority of the motion is fine. This one little sentence would probably stop a lot of arguing or disagreements, get it done, move forward. We can certainly explain it to everybody and finally get this motion passed and done and get back to work.
Mr. President, you need to inquire
Yes.
with the maker of the motion if she accepts the amendment, and if not, then there needs to be a second on the amendment.
Thank you. Jennifer, do you accept the amendment motion?
I do not.
Okay, do we have a second on it?
Yes.
Yes.
Fred Keel, President, Region 4.
Okay, so let's go through discuss. So now what we're going to be discussing is the proposed amendment by Councilmember, by Millie. Okay, so we'll be discussing the amendment, and then what the board will do, by the way, the board will talk about this amendment, and then we'll go to a vote, and it's a 2/3. So on anything that we pass in the bylaws. Is that correct, Lori?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll discuss the proposed amendment and then we'll go to a vote. And then if 2/3 agree with the amendment, then that'll be the amendment for future discussion. If 2/3 don't agree with the motion, Then we'll go back to the original motion and continue our discussion. Does that make sense? Okay, so now discussion on the amendment. I see Terry's hand up and I see Jim Cox's hand up.
So Millie, I'm not clear what document went to members saying that the first year counted as a full term.
Honestly, Terry, I don't know if it was a document. It was discussions. When we were switching from the old third VP, second VP, first VP system, I don't know what to call that. When we were switching from that to our current system, we had multiple gatherings, region rallies, local rallies, IBT, lots of things where we all got together. And those of us who were interested in running were certainly very engaged. We all spoke to many, many members, boots on the ground. As far as documentation, that's part of the problem here, Terry, is that when the folks that put together all the changes had implied many things and maybe assumed, I hate to use that word, but maybe assumed that stuff would be written in, and it didn't end up written into the law and should have been at that time. Now we want to correct that. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense, but I think what you originally said was that the members were told that it was a 2-year term, and I don't think there was anything in the election process of the EC that said that that first year was a full term. I was told that. I don't know. I can't remember who I was told it by. I think that there were several things in the transition thing that Jenny did that I think it was in there. But there were several things in there that were not adopted. It wasn't just this. There were other things that weren't adopted. So I've worried about this, but as I've listened more about the history of this, I think that we thought this was true, but it was never, I think it was not the intention of the motion maker to have this be true. That's just my thought.
Thank you. Jim?
All right. Two things. Mr. President, if you will allow me to ask a question of the parliamentarian first, and then I'll have my other point. Okay. I just wanted to raise to the parliamentarian, does the amendment to the motion that's on the floor require a 2/3 or a majority?
I believe the amendment requires a simple majority.
Oh.
The motion will require a 2/3.
Okay. And then, Mr. President, if I may then, I'm going to change hats here, put on my CNBL interim hat here. Y'all, and I'm speaking to the EC member Jim at the same time, we need to pass a motion to clean up the bylaws so that we can have the election that we need to have on schedule. We don't have to pass it immediately, but if we don't, then we're going to have a special called meeting of this same August body of people so that we can get this through. So I'm just encouraging you, let's find the path to get this done so that we don't have to call another meeting, because before the end of February, we need to resolve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Mona and then Kathy.
Sorry, I'm digging around at my leadership recruitment information, trying to find, but I specifically know that there was communication which said that the 1-year service counted as 2 for experience. And when I find that, I will send it, but it was not something that came out of the ether. It was a true statement, and I just need to dig around and find it. Jenny, you might be able to offer some insight there, but I know specifically that was the case. Jim, actually, I think I called you and asked you if that was the case, right? Yeah.
So, Mona,
Okay.
just clarification, because we're talking about this experience versus terms. Can you say again, the communication said?
Okay, so I called to confirm this with Jim because at one point Millie was told by another candidate that she was not eligible to be in that role. And I disputed that and called Jim Cock, because you were working on this process early, and then Jenny took that and carried it forward. And Jim, I believe, I don't mean to throw you on the spot. I just cannot find documentation, but it is the case that 1 year on that 1 year term counted as 2 years on the IBT relative to service. That's what I know.
Thank you, Kathy, and then Jennifer Dice.
And I suspect Jennifer wants to respond to that. And so if it's okay, I'll defer to her speaking next, and then I'll come back.
Oh, thank you. I want to say that it was also in the proviso that was shared that anybody that served for the 1 year during that first 2022 year actually would qualify for 2023. I'm trying to find it really quick. I apologize. I'm kind of in the same boat you are, Mona.
Okay, thank you. Let's see if Kathy, do you have another element of your questions?
No, I just want to say I sat on the transition team and with Jenny and Jim and a number of people on here. And yes, that is in fact what we decided on to move forward. So I'm really torn here because I think the Capstone Committee makes very valid comments, questions. I don't think members at large, yes, some of us did go out and say, well, this is going to happen. But I went back through the Blue Berets and read every single one of them yesterday around the election time. There was nothing in that. I don't think in general of the however many thousand members that voted that this was a key piece. We need to listen to Jim. We need to get this passed and move on. We also have a safety net here. If it is really critical to members, they can vote not to return people to the EC. That was the beauty and the whole goal of changing our governance structures, to get our members involved, to get them to care about what's going on. And if they care strongly about this, the safety net's there, and boom, they won't reelect it. The second safety net is if the EC, or I'm sorry, if the IBT, let's say the members say, oh yeah, it didn't really matter to us that 1 year, 2 year, what's the big deal? And move those members on again. The IBT can sit there and say, yeah, well, we don't want them as officers. There's two safety nets there. We just need to move on here.
Thanks, Kathy. Jenny, and then Gary. Jenny,
I think Jennifer was trying to interject a point here.
Oh, I apologize and thank you. I found it in the proviso. It wasn't part of what I had quoted earlier. It says the executive officers elected by the IBT in 2023 will serve for a 2-year term. And then after that, it says if Amendment 2 passes, there could be a special election in the fall of 2022 to fill the additional executive council positions for a 1-year term. However, the transition committee has recommended that the positions remain vacant until the 2023 election. If the IBT decides to have a special election, they, with other executive council members, would then stand for election in 2020. So the transition period was already identified in this proviso as 1 year, but with the ensuing language, it does show that they would still have been eligible for the 2023 election because they served during that transition year. Thank you for ceding the floor so that I could follow up on that.
Well, again, I want to thank you both for doing all this hard work, knowing how many hours it takes to peel all these layers back. All I want to share with you is I have been receiving a lot of communication from members who have said, I thought, and they all say the exact same thing. They all say, I thought that first year, I thought we started in 2022. What else were you calling it if it wasn't the executive council? And they thought that it was very clear that that was supposed to fill the beginning of the 2-year term that would end as a 12-month term. This was presented to the IBT by me in 2022, in April and in May. There are written reports. Everybody received them at the time. So the members who had an interest in this could have seen it in a public forum. What I vote on at the end is what I vote on at the end. But I do want to indicate that this did not come out of nowhere. This was highly, highly publicized. There were at region rallies, there were constantly questions about this new structure discussed a lot. So what I'm not 100% certain that my interpretation of what was written in the proviso is following what you're saying, Jen, but I do appreciate the effort you've put into this. I just wanted to share that this was the initial explanation to people that the transition year was going to, albeit only a 12-month period of time, count for a full term, and that this was the beginning of a new structure called the Executive Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Shady. Gary.
Yeah, sorry, my video died last night, so I'm here, but not here. All I want to say is I call the question to the motion on the floor.
Okay. Well, any other comment? I heard you, Gary. I just want to make sure in the area of transparency that anyone else has a comment, they can share it into it. So any other region presidents or EC want to voice any thoughts on this before we go to roll call vote? Jan.
I'm just, listening just like everybody else, and all the different thoughts and channels that are coming in. But all I know is I was a first VP at Savannah, and I was sitting there when Larry Madden point blank asked if this was going to go down as we are saying, the 1-year term would count as 2. And he was answered in that meeting that it's recorded that yes, that is the way it would be. And that's what we took. That's what we took to our regions. That's what we told our people. And, I know that it's as you use the term, the Constitution is silent. Yes, it's silent, but what deciphers what it should have been? You can go back. I'm sure somebody has that video sitting right now on their computer and we can play it. But Barb answered the question. Nobody came back and said, no, this is wrong. Nobody said anything. And that was at the IBT meeting. And that's all I'm going by. That's what I heard. That's what I told my people as I came along. And, I agree we need to get this settled. And I think you just need to figure out what you think is best. And I just gave my point. I think we told our people that it was a 1-year term that counted as 2.
Thank you, Jan. John?
Mr. President, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you because you do have a motion to call the question, which is a debatable motion. So I
understand. Thank you, Laura. I understand that. Y'all can fire me. One more comment, John, and then we're off the table and we'll go to roll call vote on it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I wasn't involved in this. But I look askance a little bit when people say, well, we told members this, or we gave member a lot of feedback. I always come back to almost 79% of the membership didn't bother to vote for the executive council. So I kind of feel so therefore it would be in a very small subset that even cares. And I think what the group ought to do is just vote on, well, what do we think is the right way going forward? Think about that as opposed to, well, 3 years ago, we told people at a region rally something or whatever. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks. Let's go to roll call now. Sorry, Mona, again, because you were LRO, I want to give you one last chance, or we'll just go to roll call. Up to you.
This is a really interesting parallel right now. We don't look at the Constitution that guides the United States of America and wonder, what were they really thinking? What was their intent? We need to do the same. We would not do that. We can't pretend to know what our founding fathers, what they were going through, what they were thinking of, what their intent was. And we need to make sure that our Constitution is clear and it's free of that assumption. We can't make those. I also want to point out that, Jen, I love you to death. You are a brilliant young woman. I look forward to seeing you sit on a screen like this with President under your name someday. Oh, yes, I do. And I am just so thrilled that you were on the team with me. The little tidbit that you sent out on email that was highlighted actually, to me, further validated that the council started, the use of the term council started at that first election. And I know there's been back and forth banter that says no EC, no this, no that. It started then. And I read it and I thought, well, I don't know if that validates your case or any case at all. So I'm torn. I said it at the last call. I love what this team has done. I love where we're headed. I hate what it's doing to our membership. And I hope that we can find a way to solidify this without assumption and move forward in a good, healthy way. I'm out.
Okay, roll call, Terry. And it requires a 50%, and the motion on the table is to change 2023 to 2022 effectively.
No, your motion right now is to close debate. So the call to question is you have to vote on closing debate.
Okay. What percent what's required
Majority.
to close debate? Okay, all right. So motion to close debate.
So this motion that we're doing the roll call on is to close the debate, not about the amendment, correct?
To close the debate on the amendment.
I'll
All right.
second.
Millie seconds. Let me see. Close debate. Put my
Let's just
paper.
try this. All in favor, raise your virtual hand or whatever. Can we do that? You guys want to do a roll call? Okay, we have a clear majority to close debate, so we're going to close debate. Okay, so now
amendment.
Now we can vote on the amendment. And the amendment is, Millie, if you can read it again, please, just for clarity. Thank you.
I move to amend motion 2025-01, Exhibit 1, proposed changes to Article 8, Section 3, subsection 3, in the first line, changing 2023 to 2022. So if passed, the amended sentences would read, service beginning in election year 2022 shall be the start of executive council and officer term limits. Service prior to 2022, election applies only to experience for officer eligibility.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so roll call vote, please, Terry.
Region 12 President Sean Bloom.
Y'all get ready with your mics because we're going to try to get to this
No,
fast.
sorry. Darn mute.
Region 11 President John Hawley. You're
You guys
muted.
get your mute buttons off so we can go through this quickly, please.
No.
EC member Kendall Felder.
No.
Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
Yes.
Past President Mona Watts.
Yes.
EC member John Becker.
No.
Region 3 President Robert Ely.
Yes.
EC member Jenny Schnettler.
Yes.
Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Yes.
Region 2 President Gary Russo.
Yes.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Yes.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
No.
EC member Kathy Giese.
No.
Region 8 President Rick Everson.
Yes.
Region 9 President Tracy Elkins.
Yes.
Secretary and me, I vote no. EC member Jim Cock.
Yes.
Yes to the amendment. Region 1 President Michael Junta.
Yes to the amendment.
Region 5 President John Deegan.
Yes to the amendment.
Region 7 President Chris Olson.
Yes.
The amendment passes.
Okay, excellent. So do we have to do any more voting on the whole amendment or not? Or are we done?
Yes, you've only amended the motion, so now you will need a 2/3 vote to pass the final motion. So it'll be the motion as amended.
All right, so the motion is amended. And by the way, I am strongly hoping, like I said last time, that as a board, we don't have to agree on everything. But I'm strongly hoping that this vote that requires a 2/3 can be as close to consensus agreement as we can. Because it would sticking to our members that we've talked, we've debated, we've listened to each other, we voted, and we're all in support of it. All right. So let's go roll call vote, requires 2/3 on the amended.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
Lawrence.
This is really hard. No.
Region 9 President Tracy Elkins.
No.
Region 8 President Rick Everson.
No.
EC member Jenny Schnettler.
Yes.
Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
Yes.
EC member John Becker.
Yes.
I'm going to vote yes. Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Yes.
EC member Jim Cock.
Yes.
Region 2 President Gary Russo.
No.
Region 11 President John Hawley.
Yes.
EC member Kendall Felder.
Yes.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Yes.
EC member Kathy Giese.
Yes.
Region 1 President Michael Junta. Michael?
No. I'm a no.
Region 7 President Chris Olson.
Yes.
Past President Mona Watts.
Yes.
Region 3 President Bob Ely.
Yes.
Sorry, Robert Ely. Region
It's
12.
all right.
Okay. Region 12 President Sean Bloom.
Yes.
Region 5 President John Deegan.
Yes.
The motion, 5 noes. $15 yes. Let me count that again. I think we have 21.
And
Well,
you need,
20, because I'm not voting.
you need
Right, but
15.
we need 15 and we have. I'm going to do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 yes.
Awesome. All right, thank you all. Okay, so thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, the board, for passing that. So now that the vote is passed, most of you I consider personal friends, and no one has really asked me this, but I do want to share this with you guys as well. You know, because this directly affects me, you might imagine. It actually doesn't. I had already committed to stepping off the board on August 1st. I had a pre-negotiated exit date with the board president of the bank of which I serve. And I told him when they accepted me onto the board of that bank that my last date as Airship Club president would be August 1st, 2025. And I just have to do that. It's a paid position. It's a big deal, actually. So I was not going to run anyway. But I do want to say, though, that this turned out a bit of a life of its own. It was a simple question by me. I thought it was easily answered. I will say that for those of you who know me and Laverne, I hope you believe in our integrity. So as you might imagine, I, probably more than most people, would have been aware of the transition report, which I was. I would have been aware of the voting, which I was. And my opinion on it, even though I wasn't going to run, was that it was so ambiguous and the board never actually voted on it in that sense. In fact, I never voted on it, right? So I believe that it wasn't up in the air. I was really supportive of the capstone committee taking a really hard look at it. So I really appreciate all the work that you all have put into this in terms of cleaning up everything else also. So thank you much. I'm glad we passed this today, as we had to pass something today to be able to move on. Okay, so now we have one last thing to do, I think, today, and that is the policy statement. So is that Jim, you or Jen, who are going to read the policy motion? Sorry, Michael, do you have a comment?
Eric, if you could please, we scheduled this IBT meeting with a hard stop at 2. It's now 1:42. I'd be gracious if we could honor the 2 o'clock hard stop.
Well, we'll do the best we can, Michael. If you have to jump off, then you have to jump off. So let's go to the policy discussion and let's get to the table and hopefully we can vote that and then we'll do the region roundtable.
Okay, let's see, I'm unmuted, good. And let me bring up the motion. Here we go. Okay, so the following is the policy motion 2025-02. This motion also went through some cleanup or improvement based on comments from the gracious folks who I mentioned before. Thank you all. I will read the motion first. I move to replace policy 3.11 section M with a new policy 3.11 section M. Move and amend section 8.6.2 to a new 8.4.1 leadership candidacy process. Insert a new 8.4.2 midterm election of international officers. Insert a new 8.5.1 confidence vote of the finance director. Retitle and amend 8.6.1 election of international officers. Insert a new 8.6.2 election of a financial director. Amend section 16.6.9 B1 little b flags and pennants. Amend section 16.6.10 D4 little b airstream numbers. Add new 8.5.1 and 8.5.2 to align these policies to the Constitution and bylaws. Replace all incidents of international treasurer or treasurer, where it refers to the international treasurer, with finance director in the following policies: 10.11 D1 through 3, fiscal responsibilities, 16.6.3 H, financial disbursement, and 16.6.8 D2, badges.
All right, no second is required since it comes from a standing committee. Without disagreement, this motion passes. Is there any disagreement to the motion passing? Raise your hand if you have an objection to the motion passing as is. Jennifer?
Me, Jenny?
Yes, Jenny, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I propose the following friendly amendment. I move to amend motion 20-25-02 titled Policy Amendments to align with the financial director position, constitutional change, and to close gaps and clarify ambiguities in reference to 8.6.1 from Article 8 of the bylaws titled Election of International Officers. Section A, Item 2 states that this meeting will be held within 30 days of completion of the Executive Council election. I move to amend this sentence to read, this meeting will be held within the first 10 days of January of the even-numbered years. May I have permission to support my rationale?
You need a second on your amendment unless the maker approves your amendment.
Yeah, so Jim, what are your thoughts on approving that as a friendly?
Could you read it again?
So far, but I haven't heard rationale. I wasn't prepared for this. Oh,
okay,
sorry.
Let's go to rationale then.
My rationale is that the election of the newly Executive Council members in June of the odd number years creates a 6.5-month period before these new members are seated in office in the following January. I personally see this as a unique opportunity for the EC members-elect to assimilate into their new role of leadership through mentorship and observation during that June to January timeframe. With the change of our fiscal year to coincide with the calendar year, we do not need to hasten the election of the international officers to a 30-day window, as was necessary with the prior August 1st to July 31st calendar. I recommend that we utilize the 6.5-month time period from the EC election to their assumption of office to encourage our EC members-elect to develop a deep understanding of the IBT process through mentorship and inclusion, while also allowing the newly sworn-in region presidents to fully integrate into their own new roles on the IBT, so that by the time that the new EC members-elect assume their positions on the IBT in January of the even years, we all know each other, we've had the opportunity to work together, and the selection of international officers becomes based on qualifications observed and demonstrated rather than a popularity contest. My secondary concern, and this is actually much, much more important, is that by allowing EC members-elect to vote prior to their swearing in, we actually are in direct violation of Article 7, Section 1, Part B of our Constitution, which states, "The President, Vice President, and Recording Secretary shall be elected by the voting members of the IBT from the eligible 9 Executive Council members at large that were elected to the IBT by the club membership." In fact, until the newly elected Executive Council members are sworn in by the President, the past international president, they actually are not voting members of the IBT. This may seem like a technicality. However, sometimes those seemingly innocuous details might come back a few years later and create chaos. So please consider tidying up this potential problematic point by revising this timeline. Thank you.
Okay, so now back to Jim. Do you accept that? If not, we'll need a second and we'll go vote on the amendment.
I do not accept this proposed change.
Okay, so do we have a second on the proposed change?
I'll second it. Millie.
Okay, seconded by Millie. Discussion?
Could she read the change again, please?
Yes. It is changed from, this is the current quote in this new motion, "This meeting will be held within 30 days of completion of the Executive Council election." I move to amend this sentence to read, "This meeting will be held within the first 10 days of January of the even-numbered years."
Okay, so let me just find out, first question, do we have to resolve this one today, or can we do it by electronic? The policy. And only because we're late into our agendas, we've had a long day. So do we have to do this today? Because I was a little surprised at the amount of discussion on this one. So Jim, what's your recommendation?
I think we're fine with delaying it unless somebody else knows otherwise.
Okay, so you have to remove it if you want to. I can't tell you to remove it. Your choice. Let me know how you want to proceed.
Well, Jenny has to be willing to pull her.
Understood. I understand that.
So first Jenny would have to rescind hers, and if she does, I will rescind the motion.
I think this is something that we can work on behind the scenes. I don't know, because this was not in the original policy. So I think we don't have to address it in this forum.
Also something that I was absolutely unaware of it coming up today, or I'd have been prepared for it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, so it's been removed. Okay, so thank you guys, and I'll work with JD, you and Jim. We'll get this the next available. Gary, do you had a question before we go into region
I'm sorry,
update?
Mr. President. We still have a motion on the table, which is the original policy motion. Are you pulling that as well?
Yes. Well, that's what Jim said he'd pull, right?
Okay,
Because
I
that
thought
was
it was
his
just
motion.
a proposed amendment.
What I stated was, unless somebody can tell me that this has to be voted on today, I am willing to delay it for an electronic motion to happen soon after. Perhaps Jennifer and I can work on this within the next week at the longest.
All right, well, good. Okay, Gary, you had your hand up, but then after you, in fact, we can start with region president go-arounds, by the way.
Yeah, I got a quick
after your
question.
After your comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Jim, is there anything in the policy that needs to be changed now as a result of the amendment that was added to the bylaw?
I don't believe so, Gary.
I just don't want to fall into, a sand trap here where, that change trickles down into other issues.
Mr. President, may I address?
Yes.
Okay, Gary, I've pledged to, if Jen Schnettler and I can work on this, perhaps in the next week or less, we would be able to address questions like yours. But I don't think right off the bat that there's any conflict for the moment.
Okay. Just wanted to ask and get it on the record.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. I'm going to start going around with Sean, Region 12. I talked to y'all about some of the work that they did to help support our members during the wildfires in California. So Sean, you go around first. I'm going to go 12, 11, 10, 9, up the stack that way.
Well, first on that topic, I'm embarrassed to be talking about it because it really was, it takes a village to do those kind of things. What's happening in LA is horrific. But and I will tell you, I'll be completely honest and transparent that we were a little frozen at Region 12 of what good do thoughts and prayers do by sending out an email like that. And it was Eric that pushed me over the top. And so I'm gonna relay two comments that were made. One was he forwarded an email to me from Airstream Inc. And it was one sentence and it said, "What can we do?" And I just think we all need to keep in mind that didn't happen 2 years ago. It was that relationship that Eric and all of you have built that allowed an Airstream officer to even send that. The second thing was the work that Kathy, Eric, all of you have done on Harvest Host. And they said, I want to send a reminder to everyone, we offer short-term parking opportunities. And so it ended up being an email of more than thoughts and prayers. Hopefully we were able to offer some helpful information in a really difficult time. And the fires continue. It's terrible. But as of today, it looks like no one has been impacted. And so I also want to call out our Greater Los Angeles Airstream Club. They the afternoon that the fires broke out, they had a list of at least 20 members who offered a room in their home or a yard or something like that. So those are the things that make me proud to be an Airstream member. We're a family and we all take care of each other, and it's been really rewarding. But kudos really to Eric and to all of you for what you've done that even generated an email of what can we do to help, because I think that's what really started it. My last comment will just be, we are starting work on our annual region rally, and we have the most amazing region rally planning committee. And it's almost more fun working on the planning committee than it is actually going to the region rally. So if any of you are thinking about forming one of those committees, it's really wonderful. We have all of our clubs that serve on it, and it's great. So that's it for Region 12.
Thank you, Sean. And you did a great job. All right, 11, John.
Congratulations, Sean. And I have a lot of friends, having lived in LA, especially in the entertainment business, that actually have lost their homes. And I know a lot of people have offered a lot of things. I've offered my trailer to them as well. But of course, coming out to Phoenix is not the ideal situation for them to do. But you're to be commended for the work that's being done there. The two news that I have is my first vice president had resigned, Julie Cook. So we moved Sam Brandis, the second vice president, up to first vice president. And then through the nominating committee process and the executive committee of the Region 11, we've approved and voted on Ron Jorgensen of Utah Club to be the second VP, which he has readily accepted and anxious to do it. So we're back in full force, and it didn't do much to. I did that in one day actually, so that was pretty good. The other thing is I also have a committee for the rally that we're having, and I've got representatives from each of my 6 clubs that are working on it. I'm having some trouble with the resort that we're going to because they're not communicating with me quite effectively, and I'm having to pull teeth to get information from them. But we're in full swing. It'll be in Granby, Colorado on July 23rd through the 27th. And it's a Sun Outdoors facility. As some of you know about Sun Outdoors, it's a great facility, just sometimes a little difficult to deal with. And we're planning, I'll be sending out invitations, just as John said, to all of you to attend when we get this together. We finally figured out what it's going to cost for a fee and what we're going to have to provide. Great. I'm going to give them a lot of free time. 2 days will be extensive workshops and seminars in all categories, and I've got some great people coming in. I've invited Molly Hansen from Airstream Inc. to come in. I haven't heard from her yet, so maybe Eric, you can help me with that. Tell her that Ozzy Osbourne wants her to attend. And anyway, everything is moving along very well, but you'll all get invitation to that. And thank you for seeing you all today. You all look great.
Thanks, Sean. Florence, Region 10.
Well, this will be brief. We have in Region 10 launched our first ever region rally. The intent was to offer, or I'm sorry, caravan. I'm so sorry. The intent was to offer caravans that were more accessible to people by making them shorter and closer to home. So we are doing 10 days, 3 stops, and it sold out in just about a half hour, which tells me that there's a strong hunger for this. So even though I term out in 6 months, I am hopeful that this really gains traction because the Western US has just so much to offer. And I really think region caravans, hopefully something that grows nationwide, not just in Region 10. And just really briefly, I want to say that we, as region presidents, we meet monthly, and I love a couple of things that we are, I think, committed to all work on. One of which is to develop and standardize a training manual that will live on board effect when we're done with this thing, and it'll be somewhere where potential officers at all levels can go to. And what can I expect if I jump into leadership in this club? I'm hopeful that's something that is amended as the years go by and serves incoming leadership as well as existing leadership as well. And I think I'm gonna end there. Thank you.
Thanks, Florence. Region 9.
Well, we've got lots of things happening in Region 9, and we're going to get right on them right after this cold weather goes away. And you guys up north that sent it down here, come get it. We're tired. So we've got the Streaming on the Stream coming up in February. We are so excited. It's been sold out for months. We've had a couple of cancellations because people have gotten scared about the weather, but we've got a wait list that was as long as the reservation list. So we'll get those spots filled up. And then coming up, that's February the 20th through the 23rd. And then coming up in March, right on the heels of that, we have our Region 9 rally. If any of you guys want to come, I wasn't thoughtful enough to invite you because I should have, I just didn't, but you're very welcome. We still have a few spots open. We're going to be in the beautiful, beautiful coastal area of Edna, Texas at the Breckenridge Recreational Complex. We've got lots of things planned. One of the big ones is a shrimp boil. So you guys come on down and we'll try to have some coastal weather for you then. And thanks for everybody's hard work on these motions. That is so appreciated. I cannot tell you how much I realize your pain is significant in getting these things through, and we value what you do. That's it for Region 9.
Thanks, Tracy. All right, Region 8, please.
Mr. President, thank you for a good meeting today. I thought it was much better than I anticipated it to be, so I think it went really well. On Region 8, we just a week and a half ago, I went with our Region 8 Planning Committee. We went to beautiful Amana, Iowa, and we're scheduled for a rally there on the 30th of April through May the 5th, and it's in conjunction with their My Fest celebration that they do every year. We got a lot of things in planning. I got the Airstream dealer is going to be with us again this year. He's going to bring up displays, and I've got several other things that we're getting ready, and we'll roll out information soon. And I hate to run, but I got a doctor's appointment. So thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you much. All right, Region 7.
Hi. Well, it's winter here still, so we don't have very much going on at all. But the three local clubs that I have are all putting together plans for rallies and activities, starting in, let's see, mid-May through the end of September for different things. And I'm working with the Minnesota Club on a joint Minnesota region rally to be held in September, near Taylor Falls, Minnesota. And that's pretty much it. Not much going on right now.
All right, thank you, Chris. Region 6.
Well, just like we talked earlier on in this meeting, most of Region 6 is waiting on the thaw because the Gulf Coast was hammered with snow. And they have been throwing snowballs. We have angels showing on the websites. They are having the time of their life. And I'm sure they're ready by now for it to go away. But we've been very busy. Coming up real soon, we have the Cajun Mardi Gras rally that the Louisiana bunch is going on. And I understand the Cajun rally, Mardi Gras, is much different from the other. Charles and I are going to attend that. And then we're going to sail right over to Gulfport, Mississippi and join in with the Mississippi group. And they're having a seafood rally. So how fun will that be? I want to remind everybody that we are having, because David Gully will come into office August 1. We'll have a big Region 6 rally. We are celebrating the 70th year as we go along, and it's in Sevierville, Tennessee. September 24 through 28. Now, he's working every day to get new sites and have people on it. So if you'd really like to come, please email David and get your name on the list, and I bet you he'll get it worked out. But other than that, everything's going along. We've opened up the registration for our silver stock, that is Airstream on the Square. That I can't wait for that, because I can't wait to get my hippie on. I'm not one for bell bottoms because I'm too short, and once I hem them up, they're all gone. But anyhow, we'll be there with the bell bottoms on, and we'll be having a good time. So y'all come and join us. Thank you.
Well, Janice, Laverne and I will be there both for Region 6 and for On the Square. So I got to start working on my costume now. So I don't know.
Oh, you can do it.
Oh, yeah, right. Region 5.
Good afternoon, everybody. John Deegan again. And I definitely want to invite everybody on this call to join us at our Region 5 rally in Indianapolis. The theme is a racing good time, and we will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Eric, you've been to the fitness farm, and it's going to be a wonderful venue.
I can't get out there because of my other obligations, but that I would have loved to have rejoined you guys out there. That sounds like a blast.
Well, the Fitness Farm is a wonderful venue. They've done a lot to improve that facility, and we're going to have a great time there. And that's the first of two rallies that Region 5 is going to do this year. We're doing a second rally down in Madison, Indiana, which is right on the Ohio River, and that's going to be, I believe, in September timeframe, if I'm correct on that. And we're going to spend a few days in the middle of a beautiful art fest. So that's going to be a great rally for us. And for David Gully, if he's still there, I want to see if you guys can see this. If you can see it, and it's in focus.
It's a little blurry.
Well,
it's a pennant.
It's a pennant from the 1955 Canada rally. And that was the first rally which started this whole thing. And this pennant belonged to my parents. They were members of that rally. And I'm told that I was there, but I'm too young to remember it. But and hopefully we'll be able to loan this to our new center when it opens. And that's it from Region 5.
Can I
that's
add that
fantastic,
David
John.
Gully just wrote me and said to tell you absolutely, and that is great. He was proud to see that. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Region 4.
Okay, I probably shouldn't say this with all the cold weather that you guys are in, but I happen to be on a cruise ship. It's 75 degrees out here in the ocean. But not everything's all that easy. It took me over an hour to get the internet connected. I managed to do it 3 minutes before this meeting started. So, talking about short caravans, the Southeast Michigan Airstream Club this last August ran a 10-day caravan, which Kathy and I got to go on. And it was a lovely, lovely caravan up in the northern part of Michigan. And they plan on doing that again in 2026. So we're looking forward to that. And it's nice to see local clubs doing something other than just a standard rally. So that was good to see. We've got our Region 4 rally coming up in mid-May. And as always, we've got the national rally, this Swiss Festival National Rally in September that Region 4 is sponsoring. So other than that, it's been a long meeting. I'll say goodbye.
Brett, thank you. And yeah, we'll just be thinking of you, man, in your shorts and daiquiris or whatever you're doing. All right, Region 3.
Good afternoon, everybody, and I'll keep it as short as I can. Region 3 is growing and going like crazy. While we can't share the details, we are going to grow from 16 clubs to 17 clubs here in the near future, and those details are forthcoming. Our region rally is coming up in the Charleston area. It's called Streaming in the Sweetgrass. You are invited. Information will be coming out. We're just now releasing that. But we're really excited. Membership wise, we've exceeded 2,200 rigs and over 4,000 members. So the region is hopping. Of course, right now everybody's inside because we got unprecedented snow along the beaches, which is down here when it snows, everything just shuts down and you play because we don't even have the equipment to deal with it. Caravan wise, there's a lot of interesting things happening there. A lot of clubs are working with this idea of shorter caravans. So I encourage everybody to pursue that. It seems to be a tremendous hit. Every time somebody puts it together, it's sold in a waiting list. And at this point, the other thing I wanted to share is Region 3 developed a trifold brochure that we are sharing with dealers around this conversation of working with dealers. We've given them to international. We send them to our new members. Again, it has all of the clubs in it. It explains each club a little bit. It's just a wonderful tool to help people relate, because one of the things I've run into that I didn't realize people didn't understand is that if you're a member of the club, you can rally with any club anywhere. But I've had some people not understand that. So they want to stay members at large so they can go wherever they want, or they think they can only work with their club. So I share that tidbit with you to think about and make sure that your members understand that fact. And that's all I've got, Eric. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob, for that reminder. That's really important. That's a huge benefit of our club. Okay, Region 2.
Well, I can promise you that when you come up to York, we won't have any snow and it'll be warmer. And I just wanted to say that to the region presidents, there are a number of rallies that are happening up in Region 2, which is Pennsylvania, Delaware, New York. So if you're going to be coming up this way, you might want to check out some of the rallies that are going to be occurring around that time or after the international. That's all I have.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, Region 1.
I'm pleased to announce that the Region 1 rally, the 70th anniversary rally in Nova Scotia, was sold out in a very short order. This is a lot of pride for the Canadian Airstreamers, I think. You know, the start of the club with the flag that one of you John, the flag, that's a really beautiful thing. I'd like to have you send me a picture of you with that flag, and we'll do a little talk on when we're there, that you were there as a little boy. Dale Schwamberg will be there attending with us. He's extremely excited. I'm so pleased that he'll be joining us for that 70th anniversary rally in Region 1 in Nova Scotia. Region 1, Region 2 have joined together. Gary and I have joined together to have a joint rally this summer in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region. That was announced. If any of IBT members, EC members would love to join us, it's been released. The jot form is open now. Region 1, we released what I call the master rally list to all our members. In one email, all our membership was able to see what was going on with all the rallies and events taking place in Region 1. I think everybody really appreciated having that information in one email, one location to help them best plan to just join us this season. Currently working with Clifford in my on my team to have a rally at Lime Rock Raceway. This is kind of a destination type rally. We're reached out to the Vintage Group and the Boondockers. We're hoping to pull that together. That's in process now. For me personally, I'm going to be working, as Florence mentioned, on this best practices package. I've got about 25% of it already blown through, things that I've been working on for a while now. I'm going to keep working through that. I'm actually accumulating a list. So when I daydream about this, I can keep adding things as we go of what needs to get accomplished and loop back around to get some help from the other regional presidents. I think this is really important moving forward. I think best practices are critical. So the transition from one regional president to the next makes this a lot smoother. So I'm going to continue spending my spare time personally working on that to prep the pack so it's more fruitful when the rest of us come together. Lastly, I'm real passionate about the legacy aspect of this. So our region and working with Barb hand in hand, Barb Darian, will be critical to make sure that we honor our legacy members moving forward. That said, I want to wish everyone a safe time moving forward, wherever you are in the country. Stay warm, and I hope all of you are well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Great results today. Appreciate all the time you all put into it, and I think it's fantastic. All right, talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of the week, and talk to you all later. Bye.